What's going on, everybody? I go by the name of It's Marvy Marv, and you are now tuned in to another episode of Gem Talk. And today, this morning, I got with me my man, the skilled speedster himself.
What's going on?
DrewDaBarber. Good morning, bro. What's going on, homie?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. First and foremost, I want to say I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hop on with me. It's 10:30 a.m. where we are. This is the first time I did a conversation in the morning. Typically, I do them in the evenings, but I've been experimenting with the time. So I appreciate you taking some time out your morning to get up and chat with Marvy Marvin, drop some gems.
Absolutely, bro.
So, guys, where are you guys tapping in from? I'm in upstate New York. Drew, you're in what part of Florida? Tampa, right?
Yep.
Drew's in Tampa. Where are you guys tapping in from? Let us know in the chat so we can show you some love. Today's conversation is going to be dope, man. I got an opportunity to meet Drew a few years back, and Drew's just been dope. He's been dope for the industry. He's done some dope things in the barbering world. And for those of you who don't know Drew, you're about to find out about him today. We got Houston in the building. We got Valrico. Is that how I say that, Drew? That's your area, Florida?
Yeah, Valrico, Miami.
Tampa, upstate New York. Yes, sir. Miami, Austin, Texas, Charlotte. We got a few people from Valrico. That's pretty dope. So California, cool. Guys, what I will say is a couple things before we really get rolling. If you have questions, ask us questions. Now, me and Drew might not answer them in real time because we'll be in conversation. But what I'll do is I'll save them to my question folder. And if me and Drew don't cover or answer your question at some point, we'll make sure we get back to it at the point where we start doing Q&A. Also, make sure you follow DrewDaBarber on Instagram. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So, Drew, man, this is the first time we got an opportunity to connect in a while. I feel like you kind of fell back and been busy. What's been going on with you, bro?
Yeah, man, just been busy, kind of just still working towards the goals and building and just, keeping everything going. It's been a good time since the last time I saw you. Got some new opportunities and just kind of been working on those.
So new opportunities, what we talking about? What you been doing?
So within the last year, I just started working for WWE, which has been a little bit of a change of pace for me from what I'm used to as far as doing the barber shows and the battles and stuff like that. It's been a little bit more of a corporate world. And that's kind of been like the first little taste that I've gotten of that in a long time, being an owner of 8 years now, 22 years barbering. Kind of have been on my own and kind of building my own, doing it my own way. And now I'm kind of in a corporate world, in a corporate setting. So it's a much different change of pace, but it's helping me grow. And it's pretty exciting.
That's pretty dope, bro. Barbers in the chat. Let us know how long you've been cutting hair. Let us know. Drop how long you've been cutting hair. I've been doing it for 13 years now. Drew been doing it for about 47 years now. The OG Drew. Now, Drew, you've been doing it, what, 20 years now, right?
22 years now.
That's dope, bro.
Just turned 41 2 weeks ago.
You just turned 41?
41.
Oh, happy belated, bro.
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. So we got some OGs. We got 10 years. I think you start hitting OG around 10 years, 13 years, 1 year. Okay, 20 years, 11 years. Cool. We got some experience in here this morning. The experience is up early. That's what it is.
10 years.
10 years. Dope. So for the people tuned in, man, you say you started working with WWE. How did that opportunity come about? Like, how do you even get in a position to where that opportunity presents itself?
So funny story, and this was really good for my barbers to see kind of how this whole thing evolved. And it's really what I've preached before online and when I do, classes, whenever I'm booked to do so, is I actually got the WWE opportunity by simply just being friendly in the barbershop. The guy who gave me my opportunity wasn't even a client of mine. He happened to come in. He was getting a haircut with another barber that worked for me at the time. And he started talking, to my barber about, what he does for a living. And I thought it was pretty dope. Growing up, I was a wrestling fan growing up, well into my adult career, still watching wrestling and kept up with it. And I always just thought it was awesome. Had I had been 3 or 4 feet bigger, I probably had been a wrestler. I was so into it when I was little. So I always had an idea of, wanting to do something like that one day, whether it be movies or working on television or something. That's where I kind of wanted the trajectory of my career to go anyhow. So this guy comes in, he's talking about what he does. He's a makeup artist and stuff. And I was like, I go over, introduce myself, and we just get into conversation, and we're talking and just about like, everything that he does for a living, how he makes a living and stuff. And, we formed a relationship. He still kept coming in and getting a haircut. And we always just kept a good balance, which is why I always try to tell my barbers, it doesn't matter if the person coming in the barbershop sits with you or sits with anyone else in the shop, any of your peers. To keep a good attitude and to be the reason why, maybe the haircut, that could be separate. But you don't understand that being in a barbershop, you can affect the way people feel, even though you're not cutting their hair.
Right.
Which is why it's good. People don't realize people come and get their haircuts at certain spots because of the atmosphere, because of the, how they feel when they come there. So being the reason why somebody comes to a shop and they wake up in the morning, they're excited to go to shop, that's a good feeling. So I always try to tell my barbers, listen, there's so many opportunities, so many people can open doors. It doesn't necessarily mean just be rude to everybody else, but only talk to the person in your chair.
Yeah. It's weird how like some barbers will acknowledge their people come in, right? They're cutting or they're waiting. It's like, yo, Drew, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
But then when the Marv's clients come in, it's kind of just look at them and get back to what they're doing. It's like, bro, say hello.
And that's why I like to keep the vibe of my shop is that you could come in and you can vibe with anybody, no matter who you're getting your haircut with. We're all going to make you feel comfortable, and we're going to do our best to do so. So basically what happened is that this guy, he ended up moving out of state and living somewhere else. 2 years go by, and I don't hear, we don't see this guy. The barber that was working for me, no longer working for me, and the guy calls the barbershop one day. It was on a Friday. I was cutting hair, and I'm thinking, okay, well, he's probably in town. He needs a haircut. No big deal. So he gets on the phone with me, and he says, hey, man, I remember us having a conversation. I remember, you telling me about your aspirations in life, things that you wanted to do. And based off of what I've seen from you over the course of a few years and me going there and following you online, an opportunity has come up, and I brought your name to the table. And after they looked at your content and looked at, some of the things, looked into you, they'd like to offer you a job. And I just wanted to know if you'd be interested in that prior to them reaching out to you. So, I mean, that's literally how I got the opportunity. It wasn't somebody that I was super close with at the time. It wasn't somebody that, somebody that was a friend of mine. It was simply having good conversation and engaging with the people that come into my shop that have led to so many opportunities like this being one that has truly been life-changing.
I absolutely love that. Barbers, drop some fire emojis in the chat. That's super dope, man. And the takeaway that I want y'all to take away from that is, again, just to reiterate what Drew was saying, we got to show love to everybody that walks in the door, not just the people that are sitting in our chair. A simple hello, how you been? Good to see you. If you can recall something that they shared last time they were in the shop, mention that. Shout out to my homie Bree Baza coming through, showing love with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, homie. Appreciate you, dog. Show love to everybody that comes in the shop, because you just never know what type of opportunities could present themselves. And especially you beginner barbers or newer barbers that are tapped into this, that are working to build clientele. When you're in the shop and people are coming in, be friendly, be welcoming, right? Be nice to them, because you just never know. Like, yeah, we can get some amazing opportunities like the one Drew got presented with the WWE, that's fire. But even at bare minimum, you might gain another client just by being friendly. I have a client now that I've been cutting pretty much my whole career now, the whole 12, 13 years. And the way I started cutting him was he used to come into the shop and go to another barber that was in the shop working with me. And he would come every week to come see him. And then at one point, the barber that was working for me decided he wanted to go a separate way. We just, for whatever reason, he decided he wanted to leave. Cool, fine. So he left. So this guy comes in looking for him to get a haircut from him. He's not there, right? I'm like, well, did you make an appointment with him? And he's like, yeah, I made an appointment with him. I'm like, he didn't tell you he relocated? He's like, nah. And I'm like, well, he's here now. It's like 15, 20 minutes away. If you just want to go there, I'm sure he could probably, still fit you in. And he's like, nah, I'm already here. I need my haircut. Can you get me? Can you take care of me? Right. And so I cut his hair. And then, long story short, been cutting his hair ever since. But, one of the reasons why he was so comfortable to come to me was simply because every time he was coming in the shop, going to the other barber, I was friendly with him, having conversations with him, joking with him, roasting with him. Right. And you guys could be doing the same thing. And if you are in a shop where the environment isn't like that, I would say maybe consider some other options. Like in my shop, I carry it like yours, Drew, where I try to make the environment super friendly. We're all welcoming. People like to come in our shop just for the environment, just because we roast each other. We roast the barbers. We roast the clients. We have fun. We're jokey. They love the environment. So, strive to create that environment as well, guys, in your shop. And if you're not in that environment, consider some other options. You know what I mean? And I'm sure Drew can agree with a lot of that.
Absolutely.
Barbers, Barbershare says, I always treat these walk-ins as if our dad or brother walking in the door. That's super dope. So Drew, you've been cutting for 20 years now, and you are at least known to me and a lot of the barber world as the barber that can cut really quick and put out quality. You actually, I don't know if it was a self name, but you called yourself the skilled speedster. And we actually had a lot of fun with that.
I think you gave me that name.
Did I give you that name?
I think you did.
So, guys, Drew is a super fast hair cutter, as he's going to, we're going to dive into that, and he's going to share how he goes about it. But a few years back, me and Drew actually had a competition. We battled on Barber versus TV. Look at Drew looking like Rico Suave. Me using my same picture I always use for all my flyers. But we got to compete on the Barber versus stage. And I think Drew will agree with me when I say that, number one, I feel like we did the best job when it comes to marketing it. I think we had a lot of fun. We trolled each other. We roasted. The marketing was great. Robert said I was there. Todd said, I remember when y'all battled. And it was fun leading up to it. So then when we competed, y'all got an opportunity to witness Drew in action, and I got an opportunity to witness Drew in action. Drew went crazy. He took home the W. He did 3 haircuts compared to my 1 haircut that I did, which, it was a super dope strategy because I knew going in, bro, that you were going to do 2. And I think that was your plan. But then when you seen you had the extra time, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to cut Jesse too. Right. And I thought your strategy was so dope because, when I look back on it, I did everything I wanted to do. And I, because my goal was to demonstrate what I could do. I demonstrate some design, some fading, some clipper work, a clipper over comb, some scissor over comb, some beard work, to demonstrate all that. And then my goal was to motivate and inspire the people that were tuning in. Right. So I was happy on how I executed my strategy. And, obviously after the battle, the competitor in me was like, I should have won that. I got robbed. You know what I mean? I got an opportunity to feel like I felt like every barber at every barber battle for the first time in my life. I'm like, yo, bro, I got robbed. Right. Yeah. But then when I, the next day and then afterwards, when I look back at it, I'm like, the right man won that competition, because I just think that your strategy worked way better than mine. And the way you came about and handled it, like you did your thing, you know what I mean? And you fit in all those haircuts. They were clean haircuts. You really showed out and you did an awesome job. So I don't remember. I'm sure I gave you your flowers, but this is just another opportunity for me to give you your flowers for doing your damn thing in that competition, because you showed that you really were the skilled speedster to be able to put out, you know, that quality in that time. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that. No, it was.
How did you feel about the whole thing? Like when it was all
really
said and done?
It was really fun. I thought that, you know, I definitely think that, you know, we had 100 people in there that night.
Yeah.
So it was super high. And what people don't realize is that battling, no matter what your strategy is never going to be what you can do in the shop. Okay. In the shop, you have your lighting.
What do you mean by that?
So, like, you know, a lot of people show up to battles and they say, oh, I'm disappointed because what I see his work look like online looks one way, and what I saw today was different. And, you know, oh, he's not as fast as he says he is, or that design isn't as clean as, as I've seen him do before. And the reason for that is this: your house, when you're at your house, the way you have things set up to your liking, to what you're used to, it's not the same as going to a hotel. You go to a hotel, you're sleeping different. The TV's in a different spot. Your bathroom's in a different spot. Things aren't where you like them. It takes you a little bit longer to go through your daily. It's the same thing in a battle, in a barber battle setting. There's no lighting. It's dark. Even if you got 100 people in a 1,000 square foot space, it's going to get hot. So now not only are you hot, but your client is hot. So I don't know.
The ring lights are just beaming on people, heating them up too.
My models were sweating.
Yeah.
You know, so now you're cutting through sweat. Imagine just being in your shop on a normal day. It's 100 degrees outside. Your client comes in, he's sweaty, and you're telling him, hey, look, man, you're too sweaty. I got to cool you down. In a barber battle setting, you don't have the opportunity to do that. So I feel like the strategy was there. I accomplished what I wanted to. I thought the haircuts could have been a little bit better. However, I was proud of what I was able to do in an hour time, working off of a little table with no mirror.
It's terrible. It's so hard, bro.
You know, it's very hard, and people don't realize how much it really takes out of you to really put your best work forward when you got 100 people watching you and it's hot, sweaty, and it's less than lightly conditioned. So my hat's off to you. My hat's off to everybody that I've ever battled, been in competition with, win, lose, or draw. I think everybody who goes there and puts themselves and makes themselves vulnerable and pushes themselves to be better in that setting, I think that we're all winners at the end of the day.
I agree, bro. And, it was, that was the second time I competed. The first time I competed was back before I was Marvy Marv Barbers. And I went to the Universal Barber Expo with a couple people from my shop and my partner, right? And we weren't even set to compete, but they needed to fill up spots. So they're like, anybody interested in competing, let us know, blah, blah, blah. So we were like, you know what? Let's just do it. We're here. Let's just find somebody and we'll do it, right? So we did the tag team competition, and we found a model from the crowd. And he didn't have the best hair, especially knowing what I know now. It was god awful, right?
Right.
So we get on the stage, and it was a tag team competition. Now, do you know who Robin Cutts is?
I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Okay, so right, I'll tell you a little bit about him in a minute. But so we're on the stage, we're competing, and it's tag team. So I was supposed to do the one side, whatever time they gave me. Then my partner do the other side, right? So they start the clock. I start off. So I got the, adrenaline rush. You know how that comes. I'm moving quicker than I should. I'm trying to blaze it up, make the design look clean. I'm going in. I'm looking at it. It's looking decent. I'm not too satisfied with it, but I'm like, all right, I got to clean it up, whatever, right? So then the timer goes off to where we got to switch, right? And he's like, time, switch barbers. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I drop my clippers. Bro, I turn around and I look. This dude, Robin Cutts, in the same time where I'm doing some like squiggles and stuff, bro had like the whole Statue of Liberty with like mixed in with the American flag, bro, cutting somebody's hair. So as soon as I seen that, I'm like, bro, we're done. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then my partner did his thing, and obviously we got spanked. But then I left from that, and I really enjoyed the adrenaline rush. I enjoyed the competitiveness of it. So on the way home, I'm like, yo, I'm going back. I'm doing that again. you know, but then I just kind of, after sleeping on it, thought about it. I thought, and I'm like, is this really the path I want to go down? The battling thing. Or do I want to be the person that it sets up some shows and sets up the battles themselves? So that, you know, obviously I took that route, and I did New York State Barber Expo twice. I did Barbers Fest too. So I did 3 events where I did some battles and stuff. But I'll tell you what, that was insane the first time doing it. And then doing it with you was insane as well, because that, to me, was even on a bigger platform, because we had all them people in the room looking directly at you. We was online. Barber Versus was hot at the moment.
Right.
You know, it was a good time though, bro, for
No,
sure.
definitely. And like, one thing I could tell you, bro, one thing that I still enjoy to this day is going to a barber battle that I have no responsibilities at, and just watching, you know, the people do their thing, because there's talent. You know, OG started a year ago, 6 months. Sometimes you can't even tell the difference. These guys nowadays are coming into the game so talented,
Crazy, bro.
that it's just crazy. Like, some of the things that I've been able to see while going to some of these shows and really getting an opportunity to just, you know, sit there and watch and observe and learn. It's like, some of these guys are crazy, man. I don't even know that I would survive, you know, in this climate that we're at now with these barbers. These guys are amazing.
Yeah, bro. And I always say to the beginner barbers and newer barbers that are trying to learn how to pick up their speed, or, you know, increase the quality of the cuts, and learn different techniques and stuff like that, go to these barber shows and barber battles. Even if you're not competing, just go there, get as close as you can, and watch. Just
Right.
watch. Do your best to absorb what's happening. If you're in a setting where the barber's moving calm, cool, and collected, and is like chill and vibing with the crowd, maybe ask the barber some questions. If it's one of them environments where it's really not the time to be asking them questions, wait till they get off the stage, ask some questions. You know, why'd you use the clipper to do that? You know, what guards were you using? You know, why'd you use that technique to do that? And you'll start to pick up little, you know, tidbits to help your overall cutting skill. So I think there's benefit in that.
I
When you
definitely
go to
think
the competition.
to your point on that too, is you'll have some people that listen to what you just said there, and they'll get better, they'll learn, they'll take the advice, and they'll seek that out throughout their career, and they will grow and expand. And then you'll have the other ones, and this is what really gets me, is that it's like, well, I do the same thing that he does. I cut hair every day the same way he does. I'm not going to spend my time at a barber show. I'm not going to go ask somebody questions. I cut hair, I make money. Okay, that's great. Listen, there's so much to learn in this game, from the day you start to the middle of your career, towards the end of your career, whenever that may be. We all know, we all have a limit on, we know how long we want to cut. And for some of us, that could be 20 years. Some of us could be 10, 5, whatever your game plan is. But if you're not picking up and you're not learning, then I don't really understand, because I know I'm passionate about what I do, and my passion elevates far beyond just the money. The money's great, but I love learning. I love, you know, I love kicking it with you guys on the road, and really getting to get into conversation, and kind of, you know, learning how you do it. And maybe the conversation leads beyond cutting hair, and we get to talk about how are we investing our money, or how are we making our money work for us. Those kind of conversations. Shit, just maybe a year ago, I was sitting home and I said, you know what? I want to go and see Los Cutets' new spot, the headquarters. So I
Bro,
flew
it's
myself out.
fire. I've only seen it online, but it
Yeah,
looks so fire.
I flew myself out there,
Yeah.
and you know, went and spent the day with him. Not, you know, we've always been cool. We're not particularly close friends. We don't talk every day, but I hit him up. Hey, bro, look, I'd love to come see your studio. You know, what day is good for you? You know, I'd love to come kick it with you, pick your brain. And I'm 20 years in, and you know, I still have, you know, that fire in me that wants to learn more, wants to grow. I want to see how could I maybe have something, or do something what he's doing here in Tampa. You know, so growing is much a part of the game. Growing, you know, mentally is just as important as growing inside the shop.
I absolutely love that, and I agree 100,000,000%. When I think about the barber shows, I'm in a spot now in my career and in my life where I plan on cutting back a lot moving forward. Uh, But bro, I've been, the same thing with you. For me, it's been the last, 8 years, 9 years that I've been going to shows, traveling, networking, sitting in classes, kicking it with people before the event, after the event. So my strategy is going to be a little different moving forward after, doing it for so long.
Right.
But I could never not acknowledge how much of an impact going to these shows has made on me, my career, how much it's just helped in every way, shape, or form. And I think the reason why it's been able to work for people like me and like you is because we go there with an intention, right? Like we go there to work, to network, to learn. We don't just go to these events to see people take pictures and then post the pictures online and say, yo, you know what I mean, doing big things, ran into Ismarv Marv, dope, So I would love to share some of my advice, but since I got you on the platform, what would be your advice to the up and comer that is like, you know what, I do want to go to some of these shows, or maybe the up and comer that has been to a show or two and was like, yeah, I don't really know if I'm gonna go back because the barbers were just Hollywood there, and some of them didn't even want to take pictures, or they seemed like they were too good, so I'm not going back. What would be your advice to the up and comer?
I mean, I think that if you let those type of things affect you, then I think that that's the kind of things that are probably holding you back in life. I mean, I have a story that I can tell you where I went to my first barber battle here in Tampa, and there was a guy there that he was doing great things early on. Beast, we all know him. Had dropped his first DVD. Remember when the DVDs were hot back then? Dropped
Mm-hmm.
the DVD, doing big things, and I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to pick his brain. I wanted to introduce myself, and he walked right past me, bro. And I was like, like didn't even give me the time of day.
Oh,
Um,
hurt
and
the spirit.
like, damn, like, but if I told you today, that's probably one of my closest friends, somebody that I talk to, every other day, whether we exchange a text, something on IG, hit each other up, work together. Definitely somebody that I've grown to really, look up to him. He's somebody who helps me out a lot. And had I had taken what I got from that, what people don't realize is there's so many moving parts to a battle, especially when you're the main focal point, right? When you're the person that they're building the show around, there's 100 people trying to talk to you, trying to take a picture with you, or there's 100 people in your ear. Hey, you need to go over here. We need you on the mic over here. We need you in this section over here. Hey, you need to sign. You got a book out. You got merchandise that you're selling. Somebody's talking to you. There's a million different things going on that if I would have interpreted that as this dude's just being a prick, right? He's just being an asshole, and this is who he is, I would have never got a chance to link up with him and have the relationship that I have with him today. And the thing about it is that you can't be so in your mind about those type of things. You got to get to a point where you're not taking no for an answer. Yo, what's up, man? Hey, look, I've really been wanting to talk to you. At that point, if you get a shitty response, then you know you at least gave it your best shot, you tried or whatnot. But you'll find that I've found that most of the people in this industry, like yourself, like a Pacino's, an Angel Rawls, a Jesse Lima, a Bones the Goat, these guys are such great people, bro, such great human beings, people that will help you, motivate you, be there for you, help you with whatever you need, show up to your shows. All you got to do is just show some interest because those guys are so passionate about what they're doing that it's just incredible, bro. Like the whole journey for me has just been awesome. From my first barber battle to the one we just did last year, where I saw you in Connecticut. It's been a ride. It's been great. But if I would say definitely show up, get to it, go there, learn, sit in on classes, be open-minded, meet people. Some of the people that are on stage are not always the people that you need to link up with. There's people in the crowd that are equally as influential, right? You may have somebody that's attending the show that ends up working with you, working for you, or giving you an opportunity to work. So it's not always about just showing up to see who's on the flyer, showing up and just, really opening yourself up to take it all in is really what the most important thing is, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree 100%. And would add onto that, like, bro, start conversations with everybody, because you just never know who you're going to vibe with. You never know who's going to become who. You just don't know. And there have been so many times where I've been at events where I have this Marv Barbers social media influence where people are excited to see me, and I'm having a conversation with somebody that may not have that online presence or online influence, but they're beasts in real life, bro. Like, they own 8 shops, own 2 schools, you know what I'm saying? Like, own a bunch of real estate, and people come up to me and they want to take pictures with me and have a conversation with me. And I'm like, yo, this is my homie so-and-so. Hey, what's up, man? Nice to meet you. So Marv, and it's right back to me. And then after the conversation's over, they keep moving, don't even want to talk to that person no more, right? And they just thinking like, you don't even know how much game that person has because they don't have a K next to their following account online. You just completely dismiss them. So, I would say when you're at these events and you're going there, do your best to mingle and converse with everybody. You can learn something from so many people there. Content creation, growing on social media is a skill, but not everybody has that. And just because they don't have that skill doesn't mean they can't help you in so many other ways.
There's so many talented individuals in our community of barbers, bro, that that's the one thing that I love going to Connecticut, because I feel like everybody gravitates towards that show, especially, the Grammys and all that. And when you really get a chance to look back and get to see who we have in our community of people, I mean, look, at the end of the day, people will tell you, I'm cutting hair because I love it. I'm so passionate about it and the quality that I put out, and passion over everything else, and all this, and all of that is great.
It sounds great.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But when you can go to a dealership and buy a car off of your passion, let me know. When you can buy a house off of your passion, let me know. Health insurance starts taking passion for payment, let me know. So the idea of what I'm getting at is, this business, we get into this business and we get so involved in this business because this business does not have to be a stepping stone. I'm so like that's one thing that irritates me the most when I hear people go, well, I'm just going to cut hair until I can get to the next thing.
Yeah, that's like that new age, younger barber mindset.
I'm going to cut hair, but I'm also going to do this. Well, let me tell you, my best advice for you is that if you give 50% cutting hair and 50% selling insurance, guess what? You're going to get 50% result from cutting hair and 50% result from selling insurance. Neither one of them you're going to elevate at, because you're not dedicating yourself to any one thing. Cutting hair is an easy, how when they say when you're a kid, and this is what I tell my barbers, when you're a kid and you get a bad report card and the teacher says, all you got to do is show up and behave and listen, and you'll get a C. You'll get at least a C. It's mediocre. To me, a 6-figure career in barbering is simply doing what you're supposed to do. It's a C. Okay? A 6-figure career in barbering means you showed up, you had a good attitude, you made yourself available, you didn't tell the barbershop owner what his hours should be and what hours you're available. You work whatever the barbershop's hours are. Okay? If you work whatever hours are laid out for you to work, and you don't pick and choose what clients you're going to take as walk-ins. Oh, I don't want to cut kids. I don't want to cut older men. I don't want to do an undercut on a female. If that's the way you start out your career, you're going to have a failing report card as a barber. So if you come in, you find somebody in the barbershop that you see is doing it right, whether that be the owner, the manager, somebody that's been there a long time, somebody that can help you progress as a barber. You come in, you're on time, you have a good attitude, you're willing, your shop closes at 7, somebody comes in at 6:30, you don't turn that person away, you take that person. guess what you're going to end up with at the end of the year? You're going to end up finding that you have $100,000 career as a barber. It's just that simple. It's not very hard. So when people make this big old thing, I'm not making any money as a barber. You have to, I almost feel, have you ever thought this? You're talking to somebody and you feel like that barber would rather you tell them, I'm just better than you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that sometimes. I feel like the barber is making so many excuses that what they really want to hear is, you know what? You know why you're not doing what I'm doing? Because I'm just better than you. The reality of it is, no, I'm not just better than you at anything. The thing about it that they don't want to hear is they don't want to hear they're not doing enough. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. Because when you sit back and look at it, I can tell anybody who walks up to me in my shop and goes, hey, man, I'm not making any money. Okay, cool. You're not making any money. You took two 2-hour lunch breaks on Tuesday and Wednesday. You were supposed to close on Thursday. I found out you left at 5:30. You were supposed to work till 8. Somebody else in the shop told me that they came in at 6:30. We don't close until 7:30, but you decided that you were done. You didn't want to take any more walk-ins. You've done enough for the day. These are all things that contribute to your career as a barber being a failure, right? So you have to take a look at yourself. And I think that's the hardest thing for all of us to do, whether we're year 1, year 5, we're an owner. Even as an owner, I've had to really, over the last 8 years, I've had to look back at myself and go, was I wrong in that situation? Could I have done more for that person? Could the situation have gone differently? And I like to take criticism from all my barbers. When we have meetings, the meeting is not just for me to address some issues, but
yell and scold everybody. We got to take the garbage out.
It's for them to have their opportunity to address me in situations that I should learn and grow from, because that's also part of my income as well. And I have to treat myself as a business at all times. I have to look at what can I do to help myself grow. And so I think that that's what happens when people say that there's no money in barbering, or I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to do that. Listen, if you want to be a barber and you're passionate about it, show your passion by getting in there behind the chair and doing your work. And if you do your work, you're going to see that you don't need to go to something else to support yourself. You can make a really good living right here doing what we do every single day.
Barbers, I need y'all to flood the chat with some gems. There's a whole lot up in there. There's a whole lot to unpack, and definitely want to elaborate on some more of that. Barbers, drop the gems in the chat. If you don't already follow DrewDaBarber on Instagram, make sure you follow him there. Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this conversation and want to see more like it. And take a screenshot of this and share it to your story at some point. If you guys are enjoying the conversation, and make sure you tag me and Drew in it, so that way we can show you some love. And as you see, I love it. You guys are showing the gems. I love it. I love it. Drew snapped right there. I'm just like, bro is speaking to my spirit, man, because everything you just said is 100% facts, you know. And it's unfortunate when you see so many barbers who may come into this industry and think that, you know, the reason that they're not growing how they should, or the reason they're not making as much money as they should is because their fades aren't blurry enough yet. And it's like, you know what, I maybe I just need to get this clipper now. You know what I mean? Maybe if I get this trimmer now, it's going to take me to the next level. But it's like you said, or maybe it's you just coming to the shop on time, staying in the shop, you know, your scheduled hours, and not leaving early because it's slow. Like, barbers don't realize how many potential clients they miss out on just by simply coming in late or leaving early. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the shop as an owner where, you know, one of my barbers or some of my barbers decide they were coming a little later because they had nobody on their schedule, or they decided to leave a little bit early because they had nobody on their schedule. And then as soon as they leave, 2 minutes later, a walk-in or two comes in, right? And you guys you never know what you could be potentially missing out on because you don't see it. Like, you're not there to see the walk-ins that came, you know what I mean? Or even if you're the last person to leave a little bit early and you close and lock the door, you leave, you don't see that person that comes up, peeks in to see if you're open, and then leaves and goes to the next shop. Right. So you know, of course you want to get your fades blurrier. Of course you want to invest in a quality clipper. But aside from that, you want to make sure you're doing a lot of what everything that Drew just said to do when it comes to carrying yourself as a barber.
And I think that the proof, Mauro, honestly, is like, and this is what gets me every time, and I kind of try to point this out throughout the years, when instances like this pop up, is like you'll have somebody that comes in and will try to, they will try to gain, how would I say it? They'll try to influence the people that are working in the shop that, hey, you know, I'm not making any money here. This is not what I thought it would be. And then they work there. They're not really making any money. But the same, that person leaves, another person comes in, and another person buys into what you're trying to teach them. And all of a sudden, they're making $2,000 a week. How is that possible? So the thing about it is, that's why I say you have to take a look at yourself. I've seen this over the years so many times. It's not a matter if you can make it or not. It's, do you really have the will in it to make it work? And you have to put your best foot forward. If you're going to see, the problem is that people treat our industry as if, like, it, you know, oh, like if you could just walk all over it, like, oh, well, you know, hey, I'm going to become a barber, but I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah, well, right. Reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, reinvent the wheel. Listen, this is what works. Okay.
Right.
Now, how you try to add your own spin onto what works, more power to you, because I guarantee you, if you're somebody who comes into the shop and at least just listen and buys into what I'm trying to teach you, I'm going to be watching you to see how you grow so that I can learn from you. And that's just how, that is how we get better, because there's always going to be a Marvy Marv or a Bones or somebody who has to start out somewhere. And then that person is going to be the one that's really ends up influencing the community 10 years down the road. So, you know, just because I'm so many years in, the people that come in and work with me, they teach me so much on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? I have one person in my shop who is a little bit older than me that teaches me so much on a life level. He's just simply lived more life than me.
He's just wise, hitting you with the bars.
Yeah, and so when I enjoy, because there's nothing I can give him. He's financially stable. He was in the military 20 plus years. He's retired, but he treats cutting hair how he treated being in the military. He doesn't change on his time. He comes in. There's nothing that I can really do for him. See, one of the things that I like to do as an owner is I don't really get any gratification anymore off of how fast I can do haircuts. I know that I can do that. That's what I've built my career off of. I know what I'm going to make in terms of my financial, you know, obligation. I know what I'm going to make and what needs to be dispersed from that, because I've been doing it for so long. But what do I get out of somebody who I can't teach anything to barbering wise? I can allow him to teach me. And so one of the biggest things that I like about having someone like that in my shop is that he's helped me grow so much as a man, as a husband, as a father. And that's what I think the special thing about the barbershop is that there's so many different aspects to what you can learn from somebody. And to put all the emphasis on, like, who's doing the best haircuts and he's the fastest one in the shop, or he's charging this much. There's so much we can teach each other that to just limit it to that, you're missing the whole point, right? The barbershop community and everybody in it, and having a barbershop, being an owner or working in a barbershop with a team, there's so many different aspects to that and how you can grow, that just limiting it to one thing, I think you're really shortchanging yourself.
I agree. I absolutely love that. And some of what you just said is what I always say to people when they are always asking me, you know, should I go to a shop that's booth rent or commission? And I'm like, you're just looking at the surface, right? Like you're looking at the wrong thing, man, because there's just too many variables. What I always say is go to the shop where you have the opportunity to grow the most, where you can experience the most growth. And growth isn't just financial, it's growth in so many other ways. But even financial, you know, if we're talking commission booth rent, I'm sure you know there's plenty of examples of you can go work at a shop, pay 150 booth rent, make $700 a week, or you go to shop and pay 500 a week in commission and make $2,000 a week, right? So there's just so many variables, but the most important thing to take away is that when you're looking to work in a shop, to the best of your ability, try to go to a space where you do have an opportunity to grow, where you're surrounded by people that can help you in a lot of different ways, where the environment is welcoming, where the environment is an environment you can go to, you look forward to going to, you know what I'm saying? And an environment where you could make some money as a barber. And that's a lot of places, you know what I mean? I love when barbers will say to me, you know, I'm thinking about leaving the shop and go to another one. It just doesn't seem like it's busy enough. And I'm not really making no money. And one of the first questions I always ask them is, you know, is there any other busy barbers in there? And, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, yeah, there's a couple that are booked up of, you know, me and a few others. We ain't making no money. And I always think that's just so interesting, because it's like, bro, if we're in the shop and I'm over here and I'm cutting nonstop every day, you know, and you're 6 feet away on the other side, and you're sitting scrolling on your phone every day, and you ain't got nobody in your chair, you don't think that maybe it might be a difference in what we're bringing to the table each and every day? That's the determinant factor as the reason why I'm busy and you're not, you know, because I remember one time back in the day, this years ago, I was listening to a conversation with one of my barbers years ago, and I was busy. Like, this is when, like, I'm in the shop all day, you know, full time. Some of this other stuff I'm doing, I wasn't doing. So I'm booked, swamped for the day, and I'm cutting hair. And I remember it was so interesting because my client was like, you know, how you been? How's, you know, everything? And I'm like, you know, it's just busy, swamped today, just doing my best to stay on time, get everybody in. And then I remember it was a few minutes later, one of my barbers had a client come in, one of his first clients of the day, and the client sat down, and the client asked him the same thing. It was like, you know, how you been? How's everything? He's like, yeah, shop's slow today. Just, you know, it's slow. It just, you know, trying to figure out how I'm gonna, you know, make some money, blah, blah, blah. Right. And that moment was just so interesting to me, because I'm like, we're both in the same exact environment at the same exact time. And I'm saying that it's busy. He's saying it's slow, and we're both right. You know what I mean? We're both right. But the reason why I'm busy and he's slow is because, you know, we're conducting ourselves in two totally different ways. So, you know, with all that being said, I know Drew's ready to snap on y'all. You want to make sure you're doing the things right, and taking accountability and looking in the mirror and asking yourself, are you doing everything you're supposed to be doing?
And the thing about that, to go to just piggyback off of what you're saying, is we have something now that is really so much more resourceful to us, that you see people not using. When you have something like this, there's no reason why you should be slow. And I say that because, being somebody who started cutting hair prior to an Instagram, to Twitter, to YouTube, to you know, Facebook Live or Facebook ads, we literally had to spend a portion of what we made that day in paper copied flyers.
I remember I had some
business cards, and going out to places where there's people that you can give these things to, which would be nightclubs, and using the nightclub as your networking, you know, your place to network, which would be walking around, engaging with people, buying people drinks, telling people what you do, handing them business cards, putting flyers up in the bathroom, standing out in the streets at night, you know, wherever your downtown might be, wherever there's activity, concerts, really spending time, your personal time, handing things that you knew were going to get thrown on the floor, thrown in the trash can, but you were so willing to do it because you wanted it so bad. And nowadays we have all of these platforms for these barbers to come in. We have all of these gym talks and all of these other classes going on to teach you how to bring people in to the barbershop to come see you without you ever stepping foot outside. And so I find it funny that, you know, people won't even sit there and get on their phones and promote themselves, but then want to talk about why the shop is slow. It's slow because you're just simply not doing what you're supposed to do. It's just like you said. I tell my wife this all the time. I say, hey, listen, I'm not worried about anything that happens or comes our way in terms of if we ever have to leave Tampa, if we need to move, whether that be because of family or because of her job. If I ever need to leave here, I know that with what I've been able to accomplish in this game, I know that I can go to any city, any state, link up with anyone, start at a barbershop, and within a week continue my career.
Ain't that so dope,
And,
bro?
and that's because I know what I bring to the table. Like you said, you had the barber 6 feet away from you. You know what you bring to the table. He's got to take a look at himself and realize, why am I not doing what he's doing? We're in the same place. I can go anywhere and put in the work because I know I'm going to make myself available to the clients first thing in the morning. I'm going to take clients to the very last minute that I can, that the owner will allow me to. And if you think that these are all just things that I'm saying and not things that I apply, my schedule is very hectic right now. And if you reached out, anybody on this live wants to reach out to anybody who works for me and find out who those people are and ask them, what time am I at work when my shop opens at 11 o'clock in the morning because I'm inside of a mall? What time does Drew get to work in the morning? I'm at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, whether I'm just getting off a plane the night before, whether I got home at 1 o'clock in the morning driving from my Orlando job. 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the barbershop the next day. I make no excuses. This is what I chose to do. This is my career. This is how I feed my kids. This is how I provide for my household, for my wife. And I'm not going to make any excuses when it comes to my work schedule. I can't be too tired. Tired is not an option. Okay, because this is what I signed up to do. These are my clients. This is my responsibility as a professional, and this is what I need to do in order to be successful. And so I take my job seriously. And I think that if, like Stilo said, we have a lack of professionalism in the game these days because it has become very trendy to be a barber. The problem is that I've seen so many talented barbers that have so many skills that could do such great things that are making no money. They're not making any money. And it's because they have the wrong view on the game. They're not concentrating on what's really important. So they're not able to get to that next level because their concentration is all about me, 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 me. Right. And the me is that I need to be the best barber. I need the cuts have to be perfect. The cuts need to be Instagram worthy. The cuts need to be like, if I'm who are you competing against? Right? Who are you competing against? Because you're not going to get any of the other barbers that are doing the same thing you're doing in your area. Those guys aren't lined up to come and watch you cut hair. They're not lined up to come and sit in your chair. Hell, some of them won't even engage with you, and they're in your own city. You see what I'm saying? So you're trying so hard to impress that you just spent 2 hours on a haircut, and I just did 4 or 5 haircuts. You see what I'm saying? So, okay, you made $100. I just made $300. You made $75. I just made $150. So you got to figure out how you should have passion, but you should also take this seriously enough to make a career out of it so that you're not kicking yourself in the ass 5 years down the road. You need to leave the profession and go work a 9 to 5 at State Farm or go back to school and get another degree because this didn't work for you. It didn't work for you because you didn't want to listen.
Barbers, drop gems in the chat, man. And again, if you don't follow Drew already, make sure you follow him on IG. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this conversation. Take a screenshot, guys, so that way you can share it to your story afterwards. Hit the like button if you're enjoying it. It always helps us with the algorithm. Drew, I love how you there's a few things I want to tap on, piggyback off of, but I love how you said how you can relocate and go anywhere and build, right? And I think what's so dope about that is because as a barber who develops a skill set and you get good and you know what you're doing, you can do that, right? You can go anywhere and build from scratch. But what makes it even easier is like what we were saying earlier, going to these shows and connecting with people and networking, right? And knowing barbers from all of these different areas, right? Like you were saying, the same thing with me. If I decided, you know what, I want to move tomorrow, wherever in the United States, and probably a lot of places in the world, right? But more so the United States, if I'm like, I want to move to Texas, I want to move to Florida, you know, I'm not moving to California, right? So that's out the window. I love you, Cali, but I'm not coming out there, right? But if I'm trying to move anywhere and I'm like, you know, who got a chair for me, bro? The inbox is going to be flooded with opportunities, because not just because of my social media, guys. Social media plays a part, sure, but because of the time I spent networking and shaking hands and having conversations with people when I go to these events. You know, so that's another reason why you can go to some of these events, and how you can go to these events and leverage them is by just connecting with people from all over the world, because you never know where life is going to bring you. Maybe 4 years from now, you want to relocate, and now it's like, all right, I'm moving here. And then now you have a job as soon as you move. And if that doesn't work out, you have more as soon as you move because
I
of
love
your
it.
network.
I love it when you get around people outside of the profession, and like we all have friends and family that do different things, that have went to college, nurses, doctors, lawyers, and you hear them talk about how they got their opportunities. And a lot of times you'll hear the word fraternity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who has a bigger fraternity than the fraternity of barbers?
Mm-hmm.
Who has a bigger networking pool? Because we got everything and everybody. Okay, we got people. Think about it. We impact the music industry. We impact the professional athlete industry, whether it be MLB, MLB,
WWE. You know what I'm
WWE,
saying?
NFL, soccer. We cut lawyers, doctors. I mean, I feel like I'm the first person anybody calls in my area when they got into a car accident, or they need a dentist, or they need to buy a car, or they need to buy a house, or hey, anybody who's got any tickets to a Bucks game, or hey, my kid would really like an autograph. You know what I mean? Like, our fraternity of people is so vast that if you're not getting to know the people that are standing right next to you when you're at a show, then what are you doing? Because, man, I can tell you, I can reach out to almost anybody if I need a favor, and everybody's been super great. And look, I try to pay that forward as much as I can. I try to help as many people as I can. I think that's really what keeps me around and doing what we're doing. Because me and you were having the conversation earlier. If you think we're going to these barber shows and we're just showing up and we're making a ton of money, I think Marv is going to tell you, like I'm going to tell you, that's completely false. Okay. When you want to talk about passion, we're actually doing ourselves a disservice by showing up to some of these shows and standing on the stages. We're actually there to help people and to help grow. And it's the mentality that we're talking about now. That's the real value in the shows. The real value in the shows is the relationships that you make. It's not the compensation. You know what I mean? I've had people tell me, oh, well, you wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't even be talking. You wouldn't even be at this show if you weren't getting paid. Listen, I wouldn't want to show you what I'm getting paid, because if I showed you what I was getting paid in comparison to what I could actually make if I just was at my shop working a full day, then I've lost a ton of money, because I got to fly out here the day before. I got to stay here 2 days. I got to pay for food. I got to go out to dinner. I got to do my morning routine, whatever that is, coffee, breakfast, whatever it is, gym, find a gym, whatever anybody's in particular daily function is. You got to do all of that, show up to the shows. You're actually losing money. Not to mention quality time here at the family. Everybody talks about quality. What about the quality time you're spending mentally for yourself and with your kids and your wife? And how much strain does that put on our relationships by going to these shows? So it kind of irks me when I hear people say there's no value in the shows, or he's just here because he's getting a check. You know what I'm saying? That's not entirely true.
I agree. I agree with all of that. And it's again, earlier when I was saying how I'm cutting back a lot next year, it's because a lot of those, reasons, and just Marv's price doesn't have to go up now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, once you learn and you navigate through this thing, you start to see, okay, if I'm going to leave from the comfort of my home. I'm home right now in my little office space. My wife's downstairs. You know, my daughters are in school, right? I'm home. I'm comfortable. And I'm in a position now where I can make money from home, right?
Right.
Literally from home, or being in the shop cutting hair, right? If I'm going to leave from that, and travel and get up early to hop on a flight and wait in the TSA line that's supposed to be shorter, but it's long this morning for some reason, and then have to get patted down, and then have to, squeeze next and cramp to somebody like somebody on the airplane, and then get hit with a 3.5 hour layover like I just did going to Fort Myers to go to Boom's Gala, and then have to wait on Ubers and all this extra stuff. Bro, the price got to go up now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you start to learn navigating through this, like, man, just a lot of times if we're just doing it strictly for financial reasons, it's just not worth it. But when you have a bigger purpose and you're going to like truly help people and connect with people and those reasons, that's what makes it worth it. So, that's why you've seen me at so many shows and Drew at so many shows, because we're there just doing our best to empower people, inspire people, and help people. It's not because we're making millions by being at the shows. I promise you that, And with that being said, I want to shift the conversation a little bit, Drew, because I see some people asking about, like Drew's haircutting system and things like that. So I want to do some talking about hair. So one question I got for you is, I want to know some of your thoughts on, like, at least what I see, the current state of how the barbering landscape appears, at least online in this little Instagram world that so many people are tapped into. There's like the battle of the taking your time to put out quality barber, right? That's taking at least an hour and a half. And straight out of barber school, they want to charge $75, $100, $150 for a cut. We have that thing being built up. And then on the other side, I'd say, people like you and people like me and Breed Baza now, and there's some other people leading this charge of like, yo, you can put out quality in 20, 30 minutes, guys. You don't need to have people in the chair all day. You don't necessarily have to charge $100, $150 a cut to make really good money in this industry. So my question to you is, how do you feel about all of this? What would some of your advice be to the newer people who are coming in the industry and they're looking up and they're seeing, well, one barber's telling me, this barber over here is getting $250. I've seen the one dude posted $260 for an edge up on a kid. So now they're like, I could get $260 for an edge up on a kid. Or what should I listen to Marver Drew and try to do 2-3 haircuts an hour? What should I do? Well, how do you feel about all that? What are some of your thoughts?
My thoughts on that, and I'm going to preface this with a little question for everybody on here, right? And I want you to think about it like this. You got an Italian restaurant that you love to go to, right? But every time you go to this particular restaurant, it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours, okay, from start to finish. From the time they greet you at the door, sit you at the table, you're there 2 hours, okay, waiting on your food, because the food is so good. The quality is so good. It just takes forever, right? You're sitting there, you're eating. When you get done, the bill is $150, $200, right? Same amount of time, an hour, whatever. It's extremely expensive is the point, and it takes forever for your service, for the entire start to finish, for you to get your food. In today's society, that is not how we live in today's world. You're going to leave that restaurant, you're going to go, man, the food was amazing, but it was super expensive, and I don't have the time to spend 2 hours coming back here. So you know what? You know where you put that restaurant at? You put that as your special occasions restaurant. We all have those where we know we're cutting a portion of our time out of our day, and we're going to that maybe once a year. Valentine's Day. There's our Valentine's Day. That's where we're going to go, and we're going to have dinner because it's extremely expensive. It's great. The food is amazing. Probably the best food I've had, but it just takes forever and it's not practical. Now you got another little Italian spot down the street, and you can go there. You walk in, service is great. The food is not super amazing, but it's good. You enjoy it. They get you in and out. You have your meal. You're gone, and it's well priced. Which one of those restaurants are you spending more money at, do you think?
Barbers.
Which one is more consistent? Okay. So to me, I want to be the barber that you're going to come to 4 times a month. Okay, that's my goal. Every time I get a new client, I want you 4 times a month, which means you're coming to me every single week. You're coming to me. Okay, I'm not just going to see you. You're not just going to interrupt my schedule because it's December and it's Christmas time and you need to get a haircut with me. No, because I'm seeing you all year long. We're creating our relationship, and I'm getting $250 to $300 a month off of this one person, not $100 one time a month. That to me does not increase my wealth at all. Okay, I need to see you once a week. So that's where my mentality shifts, and I look at it and I go, hey, look, I need to give, first of all, what we're not doing is we're not putting enough emphasis on what our clients actually want. Because if you actually did the consultation properly, you'll see that they actually hated that you spent 15 minutes taking your Instagram pictures. You spent another 10 minutes putting enhancements and taking the enhancements off and putting them back on, and oh, it's too dark there and it doesn't look good in the camera. They don't want all that. A lot of the times people will actually leave you because you're doing all of that stuff. Okay, so you got to know, it's like a light switch. You got to know when to turn the light on and when to turn it off. We all have those customers that we know, hey, look, not only do they want an Instagram cut, do they want a cut with enhancements, but they're going to pay for my time, right? And I'm going to put that person, because they're flexible and I know what they want, I'm going to put that person to a specific point on my schedule. Whether it might be the first person, I come in, do them a little bit early because I need content, or maybe I stay a little bit later after my schedule because I need content and because they enjoy that. But 9 times out of 10, if you're actually listening to what your customer wants a simple, basic, good haircut because he wants to come and see you and get back to his job within an hour's time. Within that hour's time, they need to schedule a haircut. They need you to be on time. You need to get your haircut. They need to get food, and they need to get back to work, right? A lot of the times these customers are coming in, they need to get a haircut. They need to pick up their kids from school because their kid has soccer practice at 6 o'clock. So they don't have time for your Instagram photos. They don't have time for that. So I found that if you actually take your clientele and you actually figure out what it is that they want, that is where you can start to put together. See, a lot of people just say, oh, well, I'm just going to, whoever it is, whoever books with me, that's who I'm taking. And, I'm going to charge 100. And however, if I can get 100, I'm going to get 100. Well, yeah, you know what? My schedule is like building blocks. You know what I mean? And I move people around all day, scheduling appointments. They schedule with me. I work on how I can get more people into the schedule because I know that, Bob at 10 o'clock only takes me 10 minutes and Steve at 10:30 is not going to take me that long. So now I can create a 30-minute gap and bring somebody else in that schedule. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I work my schedule. And, I believe that you don't need to be spectacular in order to have a great career cutting hair. You need to be good. You need to be efficient. There's so many more things that somebody's looking for. I've literally had people come to me and go, hey, man, look, man, your other barber, he did a great job on me. But as phenomenal as the haircut was, I can't sit in a chair for an hour and 30 minutes.
Right. And then be 10 minutes late for the appointment when I'm already driving 20 minutes to the shop.
I can't, And so, along the lines, I started to look at all the people that I was working with, and I tried to learn from, people that I have worked in their shops or people that I worked with and saw how they did it. So I started to put together my own style. And my style is I want to be known as the barber that's fast, efficient, gives a good quality haircut, right? And someone who's always going to respect my client's time. So you will rarely will you walk into my shop and I'm running behind. Usually you'll walk into my shop and go, hey, man, I thought your schedule was full. Oh, it is full. Well, you're sitting down. Yeah, that's because 10 o'clock, I did him and he's already gone. It's 10:15. He's already out. I'm waiting on 10:30 now. Okay. And so that's And I've been able to build a great career doing that because
Yeah.
people know they can rely on me. And at the end
Mhm.
of the day, I work for them, not for me. I work
Yeah.
for the client. And I think we forget that. You know, like you can't just not every client is made to be your model. A lot of people don't even want all that stuff and be put on Instagram and taking all that time. So you got to ask yourself, what are we doing this for? Is it really about the quality? Do you really care that much about your client's quality? You see what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the day, that person doesn't want what you're doing to them. So you're doing what you want to do on them,
Mhm.
right? That person's not asking you for that. That person didn't say, hey, I need the best haircut you've ever given anybody. If it takes you 2 hours, I'm here for it. No, a lot of the times they booked with you at 10 o'clock. They need to be done by 10:30
Mhm.
because they got other things to do. This isn't like it was back in, the 90s, bro. That 90s and 2000s, when I was a kid, we used to get dropped off at the barbershop and we were at the barbershop all day. All day long, right? Me, the pops, my uncle, my cousins sitting there all day. Life doesn't work like that no more.
No,
Life,
everything's getting quicker.
everything's getting quicker. Everything's more expensive. Everybody's time, like we live in a different world these days. And so you need to figure out, if you want to be successful, you need to figure out how to turn your chair. Now, people get that there's such a big misconception on what I'm saying. Am I saying give people drive-bys and give them shitty haircuts? If you're starting out and you're on this live and you're taking 45 minutes to an hour cutting hair and you're between years 1 and 3, you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
You're exactly where you are supposed to be. You are supposed to take that long because you're still learning your craft. You're still mastering what you're supposed to be doing. You're still learning your steps. You got to go through your progressions. But like anything else, when you learn how to ride a bike, you're a little wobbly at first. But year 3, you're riding on one wheel. Okay, you didn't learn that all in one fell swoop. You didn't just get on the bike and all of a sudden you're popping wheelies and riding all the way down the block. So you got to understand, am I where I'm supposed to be? If you're already year 5, year 6, year 7, and you're taking an hour and a half on a haircut, you need to learn or work on ways to learn to get your time down.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's understanding where you need to be. Is Drew saying, hey, go and give shitty haircuts and just make money? I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that there's a big misconception of what quality is. Quality is not what you need to post on Instagram. Quality
Mhm.
is not what's going to win you a trophy. Quality is not enhancements, and I'm all for enhancements. I use them all the time. But quality is not enhancements, a full enhancement service, and your client did not book that service with you, and you're just doing it to get a photo. That's not quality. Quality is, are you on time for your haircut? Was it, if their appointment was at 10, are they in the chair by 10:05? 10:05. That's quality. Quality is doing a proper consultation with the person in your chair, knowing who your client is and knowing what that client wants. That's quality. Quality is getting them out in a timely manner, not stopping, taking a smoke break, not stopping, getting on your phone, not stopping and letting everything else going on in the shop prolong you from doing your service on your client. That's quality. And quality is charging a price that's feasible for the client so that the client can continue to come and spend money with you. That's
Mhm.
running a business. So when you put all those things together and you ask me quality over quantity, to me, I'm doing all of the things that make that haircut quality. I'm providing a good service at a great price, and I'm giving that client exactly what they want. How is that not quality?
Mm.
Okay, so you got to understand, when you say quality, what are you talking about? Because it sounds to me you're only concerned with your blend. Oh, my blend's way better than yours. Okay, you were also 15 minutes late. It also took you an hour and a half to do that. How was that quality? Because you're proud of the haircut you did. Oh, my haircut was amazing. That guy just left the shop bitching. He's upset.
Right.
He's
Yelled
mad.
at by his wife now because I thought you were gonna be back by.
He's mad. He's already
Yeah.
missed a portion of whatever he was supposed to do that day. He's late to work. He sat in the barbershop for 30 minutes while you were cutting somebody in his time slot. So how is that quality? We have to really look at this as an industry, because this is a big problem in the industry right now. Oh, well, quality. Those haircuts aren't quality. Ask any of my 2,248 people on my booking site if that's quality or not, because they're all going to tell you, if it's 8 o'clock in the morning and I tell you to be there, I'm going to be there at 7:45 waiting for you at 8 o'clock.
It's the consistency, bro.
That's quality. So, you know,
I love all of that, man. And Barbers, drop some gems in the chat. Let us know that you're rocking with us and engaging with us. Drew just went in and spoke a whole lot of facts in that by providing you guys those insights, and I absolutely agree 1,000,000%. What a couple things I want to say, or things that you guys have heard me say a bunch. Some of you maybe haven't, but when Drew is sharing some of these insights right now, and I'm sharing some of the similar insights, we're letting you know what's going to be appealing to the largest market of people. The largest pool of people. Sure, there's always going to be them people that want all this extra stuff and want to be in the chair forever and all of that and don't care. But for the most part, regular people that aren't weirdos like us and obsessed with hair and all of this stuff, a haircut a lot of times is simply an inconvenience for them, right? They're just like, I forgot to hit up Drew. I forgot to hit up Marv. I got to go in. I got pictures this weekend. Or, I got to go out. I'm taking my wifey out for anniversary, right? So they're already on tight schedules as it is. And a lot of times it's inconvenient for them to even come see us. So I think one of the best forms of service we can provide is respecting their time and doing our best to get them in the shop, give them what they're looking for, and get them out so they can go and do what they got to do. And most people, I'll argue this to the day I'm out of here. I think most people, if all things being equal, would rather be in and out the chair in 30 minutes or less, as opposed to sitting in the chair for an hour and a half, right? All things being equal. Now, you got to remember, people are paying for results, guys. They're paying for results. They're paying for whatever results it is that you're providing them, right? So if they're coming to you, and as long as you're doing those things, like you're giving them the quality cut, a good conversation, you're on time, you're doing a straight razor, whatever you do, as long as you're giving them those results, they could care less about how much time it's taking. Most people, right? Whether you're doing it in 30 minutes or 40 minutes, right? They just want the results. But as you start getting to those longer time slots, it's kind of like, what's going on? I got things to do. Or some people, if you're cutting them for the first time, you know what they start to think? Does this barber know what they're doing? They start to think maybe you just don't know what you're doing the longer you take. And so many barbers will cut somebody, give them a quality cut, take nice pictures, do a nice video, body it, be all excited about it, to post it online and get reposted to Barbershop Connect. They like, I crushed that. The person took my card, they're coming back. And then that person never comes back, and they think it's because maybe the fade wasn't blurry enough. No, maybe it's because you took forever and you did all this extra stuff that they didn't really want. And that's why it didn't come back. They didn't come back. So, I know I touched on a bunch of different things in that little ramble, but all in all, what I really want to drive home to you guys is a lot of the insight that you're going to hear in this conversation with Drew and conversation with me moving forward is insight that is applicable to the biggest pool of people. They're proof of concepts. They're stuff that work. Guys, we pay for speed. Think about it. I pay 100 and whatever. I don't even know what it is no more because I just pay it for Amazon Prime. Why? Because I get stuff the next day. You know what I mean? I get it within 2 days. We all pay for speed. Like, we pay to butt the line. You know what I'm saying? Anything that you can think of in the industry or in the world, we pay if we'll pay more to be able to get it quicker. And we value it when we can get it quicker. But for some reason, when it comes to this barbering thing, we think it's like, all right, let's just take forever because it's all about quality, which again is a very vague term. And I love the way Drew explained it, because quality, there's a lot of different things that go into quality, right? And you got to remember that it's not just about what you think quality is. It's about what the client thinks quality is, and then just respecting their time. And one thing I want to say before, because I know you probably got some thoughts too. One thing I do want to make sure I mention, and this might catch some flack from some people. I'm cool with it. But ultimately, you guys got to remember when you're seeing some of this stuff online where maybe barbers are really preaching, take an hour and a half, charge $100 a cut and all this extra stuff. You got to remember a couple things. Number one, a lot of those barbers have been cutting hair for a very, very long time. And they've been able to build up huge clienteles to be able to get to a spot later in their career where they're like, all right, this is just how I want to operate, right? And a lot of times as well, some of these people that are selling these concepts are people that have additional revenue streams. They're making money in other ways too. So they're getting paid from, companies or whatever. They're getting paid to do shows and stuff. They're making money in other ways. They're on salaries in different things, right? They've been able to expand and grow and make income in other ways, which is awesome. But you're not them. You know what I mean? Like, you're not them. Like, you're in the shop. You're cutting hair. You don't got these other income streams to rely on. So while one barber may be cool with, only doing a couple haircuts a day and charging a high price point and not really caring about building up a big clientele, it's just like, I know who I'm for. I know my worth and all of this stuff we like to preach. You got to remember, a lot of them have other income streams. Y'all don't. So the insight that I share and Drew share with you is to help you be efficient and effective and make money in the barbershop from behind the chair. Like Drew said, he doesn't believe you got to be an elite barber to get to six figures. And I absolutely agree. You guys hear me preach this all the time, right? You don't got to be elite, but you just got to do the right things and operate in a way that's appealing to the customer. We got to get out of this barber bubble where we're just always listening to other barbers. It's about what the customer wants. So many times other barbers are coming in the comment section. I would never get in that chair. I would never sit in Drew's chair. No shit, bro. Like, you're a barber who you're never going to sit in Drew's chair anyway. You know what I mean? Like, we got to start paying attention to what the customers value, what the customers want, and then give them what they want, as opposed to just listening to other barbers. Look at them trash cuts. Those are trash. Nobody going to pay for that. Bro, it's about providing the customer what the customer wants. You know what I'm saying? Barbers. And Drew, I wanted to ask you real quick, because you said, you said a lot, but the one thing that stood out to me was, if you're in year 1 to 3 and you're sitting at about 45 minutes and stuff like that, that's where you're supposed to be, right? And then you work to get your time down. What are some things that you feel are overlooked when it comes to being able to get our time down as barbers? Where are some of the mistakes you see barbers making that are making barbers take longer than they necessarily need to take when it comes to cutting hair? How can it speed up?
The number one thing that barbers do that will deter you from getting your speed down is you're overthinking what you're doing. Okay, you're overthinking what you're doing. You're trying in your head. You're trying to be on a level of that we compete like on Instagram. You're trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? And so what happens is that you're trying so hard in your head to this notion of what you think a perfect haircut is, that you're overthinking the fact that you were done 20 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the number one thing. I just tell the barbers, just go with it. You know what you're doing. You know what your tools can do. You know when you've blended that line out. You know when the haircut is done. But you continue messing with it, add something to it, add something. Next thing you know, you're on the same spot for 20, 30 minutes longer than you need to be. The second thing is always going to be your shop surroundings. You got to look at your lighting. You have to look at how you have your station set up. If you're still walking around your chair and your chair actually spins, you're no longer standing on your anti-fatigue mat that's made so that your legs will have some longevity in them. If you're walking around that chair, then you're wasting time. The chair spins for a reason. Mm-hmm. It spins so that we can get all angles of the haircut from standing at one spot. So if you're spending, think about how much time you're actually spending. All of those seconds add up. So it's just a lot of things. When people come in and they want to shadow me for the day, those are all the things that I emphasize on. I never go to, let me show you how I cut hair. It's always, if you come spend the day with me, it's always, if you want to truly shadow me and you want to figure out how to get fast, let's talk about all the other components in your surroundings that are going to aid you in being a faster, more productive barber. And a lot of the times you'll see, oh man, maybe I need a ring light. Maybe I don't have enough lighting. Maybe I'm struggling because I can't see the fade. Am I cutting too? Do I have the client in the chair, and is the chair all the way down and I'm tall and I'm still bending down because I'm not pumping my chair up? You have to cut with the light, not under the light. Okay, so there's all kinds of factors, and you really have to dive into somebody's. For everybody, it's different. So I find that you have to spend some time with people and really hone in on what their habits are. And I can spend a day with somebody and let them show me how they do things, and I can pick apart what they're doing that will make them faster, if it means it. So it's not any one particular thing where I can just go, oh, well, here's the thing right here. This is what people are doing. Because a lot of times it's different variables for people that is really making them spend more time on the haircut.
What are some of the other things you that like the common things though? Like what are some, like I love some of the stuff you shared about the chair spinning, some of the lighting, you know, the way the station's set up. What are some of the other common mistakes?
I think really just the most common mistake for me is just overthinking the haircut. Putting too much, it's just simple. You know, when I look at somebody cut hair, especially somebody coming into my shop, I like to, whether I've seen this person on Instagram, I hired them off of Instagram, I've seen their work, or I've seen them cut a show or whatever. One thing I like to do is go over and just really watch them do a haircut. And a lot of times I like to know for myself, A, so that I can either help them, or maybe B, they can share some insight on why they do a specific thing. But I like to figure out why. The most common question I ask is basically, why'd you do it like that? What's your perspective on doing it like that? And a lot of the times they don't really know why. It was just something that they were taught, or it's a bad habit that they picked up at another shop. But it's really just that. It's just overthinking the haircut, overthinking the process. Haircutting is easy when you structure it the right way, right? So for instance, here's an example of that. You have ethnic hair come in, right? And you do your haircut and you perform a great service. But then a guy with that doesn't have as much coarse hair, let's just say the client you just did has coarse hair and the other one is thin hair. Now you use a different approach to that haircut, right? Now you're lost. Why are you switching up what you're doing? It's just hair. The only thing that should change is the direction in which you're cutting in the pattern, but your steps should stay the same. So why you would start one fade from bottom to top, right? And then do another fade from top to bottom, the very next haircut, you're not creating consistency within your structure. So I never understood why people do that. Another thing is, if you're using, let's say JRL, for example.
Which you should. That's my favorite clipper on the market. The 2020 Cs were, and now the Onyx, my favorite clipper. Right. Shout outs to JRL.
If you're using a JRL to set your whole fade up, right, and you're doing your steps, and you use JRL, and then I see you take out an Andis Master to do your detail work and blend work. Those are two different clippers, my friend. Two different blades. So of course you're getting stuck. Of course you don't know why the haircut just went left, because you're not even understanding the tools you're using and how those tools work together. Okay, you're using rotary motors on one, then you're blending out with a magnetic motor, and you're doing it all for the fad. You don't even really know why you're using this. You just know that, hey, that gold, Andis Master is where it's at. But there's no point to why you're using it. You don't even know why you're using it. You see what I'm saying? So I think those are a lot of the things that really, get barbers stuck, especially new barbers coming in. Everybody wants to kind of keep up with what's the most popular and how they saw this person do that. But simply, you just need to figure out what works for you, stick to what works for you, and apply what works for you on that haircut and each and every haircut throughout your day. You need to apply the same steps and have the same structure to how you handle yourself in the barbershop. And if you do that every day, you're going to become more consistently fast over a period of time because you're using the same methods. So if you're one of those person that's out there that you just started and you're using a bunch of different clippers, you need to simplify it. Simplify it down. Figure out which company you like to use, what works for you. Use that and learn on that. Stop, trying to combine all of these different clippers together, and it's not that serious. Okay, and that's really what I find, for me.
Yeah, and I agree with all of that, and add on to it, man. Like, we're at a time where, especially with social media, like the whole way that we're all able to market ourselves is it's amazing, and it's awesome because we all have this power now to be able to market ourselves in really cool ways to grow whatever our business is. And with that being said, that's what the clipper companies have taken advantage of, is social media and barber influencers and all of us building and all of this hype that comes with, putting out new clippers. So there's just new clippers being dropped every week. And unfortunately, so many of us, especially when we're newer in the game, we think it's the clipper. We think, all right, if I get this new clipper that does this, it's going to take my cuts to the next level. And I probably would have been that same barber back in the day. If I was starting today, I probably would have been the same way, trying to buy all these different, new clippers. But when I started, just like, we had Wall and Andis and then Oster, right? That was it, So now with so many different ways, or so many different companies that you could get clippers from, it can be challenging as a barber, right? You guys are seeing all of this new cool stuff drop. So you're like, all right, maybe I need this, maybe I need that. But you just need to find that clipper that works for you and stick with that. And like Drew saying, that repetition is going to breed that speed. You becoming familiar with your tools, becoming familiar with your system. It's just going to be like autopilot, just like driving that car. And you're just going to be able to slowly pick up your speed. I had somebody reach out to me a couple of weeks ago and they wanted to get a new trimmer. They're like, I got this trimmer, but and I love it, but I'm thinking about getting something else. What do you think I should get? I said, another one of those then. Get another one of those. You love that trimmer so much, get a backup pair. Why are you trying to switch up? Just because I feel like I need a new one. Why? You just told me you love them. They're hitting like you need. Why? You don't. If anything, you love it, get another pair of them. So
to that point right there, what you just said, that also takes you into the next phase of your barbering career. If you're somebody who aspires to stand on a stage one day and work for a company, you often find that the most common question to somebody in the game that's doing that is, how do I do what you're doing, right? And the first thing I do is like, okay, for example, being where I'm at with JRL, I get a lot of people ask me, hey, Drew, how I really want to work for you. I want to work on the JRL team. Okay, great. Well, guess what the first thing I'm going to do is? I'm going to go and see if you're a good fit, meaning I need to see your content and let's see what clippers you use. But when I go on your page, all you use is Wall. Do you have a JRL clipper? No, I've never used it before. Well, why do you want to work for us then? You see what I'm saying? So the thing about it is that all of these things go hand in hand, whether you're in the shop and it's going to make you better using what you like to use and what works best for you. But that's also going to lead you into your next phase if you have any aspirations on working for any of these companies. These companies want people that use their products, not people that say they use their products. Okay, so like, if you're using the product, use the product, post the product. You know what I mean? And let that take you, into your next phase. But I did want to piggyback, because I see we're on here about an hour and 30 minutes. But I did want to piggyback off of something that you said that I think is really destroying the industry right now, that I think that we didn't give enough time to. And that's this whole notion about the quality and the $100 haircutter. And, I seen that you just, you had a live a couple weeks ago with somebody who was trying to point out a bunch of these people. Oh yeah, well, this person and that person and that person. And guys, listen, I'm going to tell you, as somebody who's been in this game for a long time, and Marv just shared his thoughts on it, and I share Marv's thoughts on this. People that are posting that they're charging upwards of $100 a haircut. Okay, and that's what they charge. They're not cutting for anything less than $100 a haircut. I challenge you to reach out to those people and ask them to provide you their schedules. I promise you, these people are not booked consistently at upwards of $100. Okay, first of all, the
Well, you
demographic.
can click the link in their bio for the most part, guys. Just click it and go see that they got openings until 2027, bro.
Listen, there's nobody. I've been around this game a long time. I've worked with hundreds of barbers, both on the roads. I've had private conversations with some of the very people that say that they are cutting for $100 a haircut. And what you don't know and what you don't see is that that is part of their persona, their character online, as we all have one. I have one. Marv have one.
Barbers!
We all have our personas that we use to build our following, right? But
that was me showing you my persona, guys, my barber's character.
What you're not seeing is the outside revenue streams of money that are coming in that allow these barbers to take that approach to barbering. And they didn't just start yesterday. Okay, some of these guys were doing what we're telling you to do, the nuts and bolts of barbering. A lot of these guys started that way, created a product, have businesses, have successful podcasts, work for different companies, are on salary with booking apps. A lot of you don't know that these booking apps like Squire and Booksy, I've been on both sides of each. You can get a revenue stream by just using their platform if you're taking care of your business on the other side. So that's passive money that's coming in that we're getting that have nothing to do with our everyday cutting hair. Okay, so my approach still stays the same because I'm a big believer in when I'm in the shop, I want to service my clients. This is the way I like to work. I've always worked this way. And I'm trying to build up my team around me. So part of me building up my team around me and making them strong, making them successful, teaching them how to provide for their families or helping them get to levels where they're trying to get to is staying consistent in what I do and what I believe. So I'm not going to change up the things that have allowed me to maybe charge $100 a haircut. I'm not going to do that because I'm still trying to teach something different. My goals are much different these days, and that is trying to help the people around me get to a certain level. So that's the reason why I look at things like this. But I know a lot of barbers that charge $100 that are doing other jobs that could care less about what they're doing in the barbering industry. Okay, so just simply because they're charging $100 doesn't mean that they've figured out they've figured out how to open up the magical box of treasure. There's no pot of gold on the end of that, on the end of what they're doing. Okay, I've met a lot of people that look very rich online that are still like, "Hey, Drew, man, I need help. How do I get that? What do you mean you're charging $100 a haircut? Yeah, man, but that's because I don't really want to do 10 haircuts a day. I'd rather do 4. Okay, so you're making $400 a day. The problem with that is I'll never knock how people do things, but for the people that are in these comments, for the people that are really getting something from this live, they got to know what the difference is, right, and what they're actually looking at. Okay, and if you want to be successful cutting hair, then everything that we've talked about today is going to lead you into that direction. And the basic thing that you need to know is that you just need to make yourself available and ready to work. And if you can do that and you're available, ready to work, you're doing all the right things, you're going to have a great career in this business.
I love that, man. And just to add on to that, guys, you got to remember, man, I know it's hard to wrap your mind around, but the internet is not real life, guys. And the coolest part about the internet is anybody could post on the internet and post anything, but that's also the curse of the internet, is that anybody can post on the internet and post anything. And what I mean when I say that is fact check some of this stuff before you just believe it, bro. Like the part that makes me sad, I'll be honest with y'all, is that if I wanted to right now, today, post one of my haircuts I did and talk about, I can make a little collage where I put 4 or 5 haircuts together. And I could say, this dude paid me $150, this dude paid me $250, this dude paid me $500, this dude paid me. My total for the day was $1,700. what would happen is the comment section would be fire, fire, fire. Yo, that's dope. Let's go. It'd be nothing but love. And you guys would just believe it. You wouldn't even question whether or not it's true. So there's so many content pieces you guys are coming across where you're seeing it and you're like, yo, that's so dope. He got a $260 for the edge up from that kid. Step back and ask yourself, like, number one, is this even true? Right? Because what you got to remember when it comes to social media, guys, is if you can create content that's polarizing or has some shock value, it's good for engagement and it's good for potential growth, right? If you think about some of Marv's content, it's been polarizing over the years, right? Or controversial, right? If you can put something out that creates some shock value, it can be good for your engagement, helps you reach more people, right? There's reasons why some of these people are doing some of this stuff online. Stop just buying into it and believing it and thinking it's true just because somebody posted. I see you want to say something. I know you want to answer that. What you got?
And not only that, bro, but look, and guys, this is for all of you guys on this live, because we really, me and Marv talked about this, and we really want to give you guys, because this has been a big topic in the industry. We really want to give you guys an idea of what really is true and not true. I cut for $40 a haircut. I'm 20 years in. I charge between $40 and $45 a haircut. Now, once people hit my tip option and all that, I average about $54.60 a haircut every 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Now I shared with Marv. Marv asked how willing would I be to open myself up and show some receipts, because we know that that's what you guys want. Marv, if you don't mind, you want to show them what I sent you, and that was just from this previous week, as you can see the dates on there. Now, this is from 10/18, which was just a few days ago. That's just one day, okay, transferred to my bank. And this, keep in mind, this is just people, as I said, card payments and transfer. These are just my cards from that day, okay? That's not including cash money that I made throughout the day. That's not including Apple Pay. That's not including Cash App. That's not including Venmo. That's not including people that have prepaid on my app. This is simply from my Square account. $834 were collected. So if you guys
shout
think,
out to you, Drew, dope, man. That's dope.
If you guys think that you cannot make money by doing $40 haircuts in a barbershop, this is literally what I do every day that I'm in the shop. I average about $1,000 to $1,500 each day that I'm in. Now that depends on, we all have the clients that can afford to give you a $20 tip. And when you get the certain combination of people that come in and it's 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, that number is going to go up. Okay. Now you're also going to have the people that just love to see you and all they can pay is $40, $42. Okay. Maybe they can't afford to tip you that much. Sometimes that number is going to stay low. However, I'm averaging about $1,000 to $1,500 every single day that I work, using the same strategies that I work, being available to my customers, and giving the best possible haircut I can give them and get them on their way, charging $40 to $45 a haircut. So for these people that are telling you that they're charging $100, $150 a haircut, ask them to provide you with their receipts and show that information. And let's just see where they end up at the end of the year. Because I can tell you, if you do it this way, if you do it the way that we're trying to teach you, this is the nuts and bolts of barbering. This is a very, very good career, and it does not take much to do it correctly.
The one thing we talked about when I had this conversation with John Hall was, if you can get to making $1 a minute while you're in the shop working an 8-hour shift, that's putting you over 6 figures, right? So if you're in the shop for 8 hours, that's what, 480 minutes, roughly $500. You if you can get to that, it's putting you over 6 figures. And it's very doable to make $1 a minute, right? If you get to the spot where you can charge $40 a haircut and you can fit in 2 in an hour, that's going to put you at 80 to 100 plus per hour, which can very easily get you guys to 6 figures.
So we just had a question that I'd like for you to highlight, because this is one that I want to debate with him. Frog the God. Bro, you're doing 30 cuts a day. That's way too many cuts in a day. This is not what a barber is supposed to be doing. Do you understand how ignorant that sounds? That's like going into a
I
gym.
don't see it.
That's like going into the gym and seeing a guy that is running 4 miles every single day on the treadmill, and you telling him, "Hey, guy, listen, you look like you're in great shape, and you look like you're doing great, but you don't need to be running 4 miles a day. That's not what people in the gym should be doing. Guy, listen, the way that I do what I do and the way Marv does what he does and the way that you do what you do is all tailored around what we are as individuals, what our skill set is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do 30 haircuts a day because it's absolutely killing me. I'm 22 years in cutting hair. I've cut this way for the upwards of my career. I would say the last 15 years of my career, I really started to figure out who I was as a barber and what works for me. And I consistently cut 30 heads a day, and I'm less tired than somebody who just cut 10 heads a day that spent an hour and a half on each haircut. They're actually tireder than me because they've worked harder than me today. I can do 30 haircuts a day and not feel any strain on my body. That is what I have programmed my body to do. That is what I'm able to do as a barber. That does not mean that every barber on this live needs to take from this and go, well, if you don't do 30 haircuts a day, you can't be successful. No, what I'm telling you is that you can't do 8 haircuts a day at $30 a haircut, $40 a haircut, and be successful. And you can't also charge $100 a haircut and do 8 haircuts a week and be successful. So you got to try to find a happy medium. See, it's comments like this where people say, oh, well, I'm going to expose them. This is not what every barber should be doing. Not at any point did Marv tell you you need to cut 30 haircuts a day to be successful. And I'm not telling you that you need to cut 30 haircuts a day to be successful. What I'm saying is that you need to figure out a way to make your time work for you in the barbershop. And you need to do what you can do, what your body can handle. What your body can handle and my body can handle, you might be able to go right now and run a 5K. I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't. Okay, I'm sitting my ass down, but you might be conditioned that way. Well, I'm programmed a different way to do different things. This is what I do for a living. Okay, and now you could either take what you from this live and use it to help you progress, or maybe you don't need any progression, and I don't know why you're on this live. But it's the comments like these that I feel that really deter other people, especially the young people getting into our business, because it's like there's no need. Nobody said that you need to cut 30 haircuts a day. I don't remember ever talking about how many clients a day either you or I did. So
yeah, and to add on to that too, right? It's always interesting because when people make comments like that, and they say, you know, that's not what people want. You're rushing the cut, whatever reason why. What is always interesting is they make the comments towards barbers who have reoccurring clientele. You know what I mean? Like, how can you tell somebody that cuts the same people every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, they keep coming back? How can you tell them that, you know what I mean? Like they're too fast. People don't want that. They clearly do. They keep coming back for more year after year. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that's always interesting to me. But then another thing that I find super interesting is how we always talk about this idea of burnout or the tolls that barbering takes on our body, right? And it's always, you know, doing 15 haircuts a day, 20 haircuts a day is going to take too much a toll on my body, this, that, and the third. But what I find so interesting about it is that it always comes from us barbers who don't work out, don't exercise at all, we don't stretch, we eat poorly, we're dehydrated, right? We're cutting with bad posture. You know what I mean? We're not using the mat properly. We're not wearing the right shoes. We do all these things that take a toll on our body, but yet cutting a lot of haircuts gets the blame. And I always find that interesting because it's like, bro, if you're on your feet for 6 hours, you're on your feet for 6 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, if you are not managing your time properly, right, and certain things, that the way you carry yourself as a barber, if you're trying to cram everybody in, sure, that could get overwhelming mentally and physically if you're not doing things right, you know? But when you got your system in play, you understand how to move. I love what you said, because I would argue in a lot of instances, the barber that's doing more haircuts is actually not as tired as the person that may be doing less. Because what also comes with the person that's doing less and longer time slots is those heavy conversations. That's one thing that I picked up from John Hall that I thought was such an amazing point he made. When you have people in your chair for a while, a lot of times the conversations could go south, or they could put a lot of baggage on you. Next thing you know, you're starting to carry some of that with you. Whereas when you're doing haircuts in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, a lot of times the conversations they're quick, they're good, they're positive, and then the person is on their way. You don't even have time to go down to some of those darker spots.
Right.
So, and I see you. Are you seeing a comment or something, or you want to say something?
Oh, I'm just reading some of these comments. How many
Gotcha.
days a week? I'm only in the shop about 3 days a week nowadays, just with my my schedule outside of the shop. But only 3 days a week if I'm not traveling. I'm currently in the shop 3 days a week.
Okay, cool. So with that being said, guys, we're hour and 15 minutes in, and what you got? Another about 15, 20 minutes, Drew?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. So if you guys can flood the chat with as many questions as you can, and if you guys have been on this gym talk previous, you know that we typically will do rapid fire Q&A. So ask as many questions as you can, and me and Drew will try to answer as many as we can for probably the next 20 minutes or so. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're enjoying this conversation, you want to see more of these, make sure you do. Also, hit the like button if you haven't done so already, and follow Drew, DrewDaBarber on IG. And take a screenshot of this or a picture of this if you're watching it on your TV. So afterwards, you can share it to the story. So that way me and Drew can show you some love. All right. So VIP says, what's best shoes to wear, bro?
Oh man, best shoes
What
to
do you
wear.
wear? I guess better question.
I mean, I always wear something that's super comfortable for me. I never try to go with, like, honestly, like cutting in Yeezys. Those are not very good for me. I like to cut in either like on clouds or maybe I'll cut in some dunks because they're super comfortable. But I never try to wear something that, it's stylish, but it's, makes me, you know, my feet hurt. That's very important. Um, so I always just try to pick like a shoe that's got a lot of like padding or something in it. But usually, like, I cut in a lot of running shoes, honestly.
Yeah, I like that. And get yourself a good mat, guys. Don't just get the cheapest mat. Spend a little bit of money for a mat with more cushion.
I got a really good mat, that's for sure.
Taxes. How do you handle that? I know you're in Florida, so fortunately for you, you don't got to deal with the same BS I do in New York. It's
Mhm.
terrible up here. But how do you manage put money away for taxes, or how do
Um,
you do it?
so I pay quarterly taxes, and I got a good accountant. You got to get yourself a good accountant, and you got to keep all your receipts, make sure everything is in order, and just get you somebody who really knows what they're talking about when it pertains to somebody who's self-employed, like we are, and make sure that you're getting ahead of the game by paying quarterly taxes and putting that money so it doesn't all creep up on you at the end of the year.
Definitely sit down with a CPA, sit down with an accountant, talk with them. I mean, if you have no clue where to start right now, guys, just start by putting like at least 10% of your money in an envelope or something to start with. How did you target your clientele?
So I targeted my clientele by finding those people that really, that kind of enjoy my style of cutting hair. I wanted to get the clients that really are, hey man, I've been looking for somebody, but I need to get in and out. Like, I already know that there's certain people that just aren't for me, and I'm very good about the people that I feel like are not in a good mix after I cut their hair. Giving them to somebody else who I think can really take care of them in my shop. But I'm not really overly specific about who books on my schedule. But if we're not a good fit, I try to move on as quickly as possible.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people, try to hold on to somebody because of what they pay or because of what they tip, but we're actually doing them a disservice if we're not having good conversation, or if I feel irritable or not happy about seeing that person on my schedule, or maybe they just want something that I feel doesn't really fit my particular skill set. So I'm pretty good about passing those people off and making sure that they're getting the best service within my shop.
I love it. And what I would say too, another point is No, work to get to the spot where you can do haircuts in 30 minutes or less. And that's for like 90% of cuts. There are going to be some cuts that are going to require 45 minutes, especially when you're, newer. You know what I mean? But if you can work to that spot where you can get most of the cuts you're doing done in 30 minutes or less, it opens you up to a whole pool of people that pretty much anybody's going to want to sit in your chair, as long as you can provide a quality service, a welcoming environment, a quality haircut, some good conversation. You keep the energy good. Like as far as targeting, you're opening yourself up to a whole bunch of people that want a barber that can get them in and out the chair in 30 minutes or less, give them a quality cut, and provide great customer service. If you could start your barbering career over again, what would you do different, Drew?
Well, what I would do different, I would take those first couple years where I thought that I knew it all. And I say that with all the respect in the world, because like a lot of people on this chat, I think when you get into cutting hair, you have very different opinions about how things should be done. And I think that I was placed in a box early on, and I thought I was one of those barbers that was very much like the barber that we talked about before we even got on here earlier today when we were having that conversation. I said, a lot of people place themselves in a space where it's like, well, why would I listen to some other barbers when I'm a barber myself? Why would I watch another barber cut hair when that's what I do all day? I'm not going to a barber show, because what am I going to learn from somebody else that is doing the same thing that I do all day? There's no reason to invest my time in that. I was very much stuck in that space for a lot of years. But what I saw is, while I was making consistently good money, not great money, but I didn't really have much more to offer. Not only within the barbershop, but just not to anyone, not even to myself. And it wasn't until I actually went to my first barbering class and saw some other people, and I didn't realize there's so many different avenues for us to take. There's so many different roads for us to travel that is all within cutting hair. And once I got out of that space is when I really started to grow. And I wish I would have done that for myself a lot sooner, because I'd probably be where I want to be now. So I'm still very much working actively on a lot of goals that I haven't accomplished yet.
I love that. Do you use the same clipper no matter the hair density?
Yes, I always use the exact same clippers, just because I believe that the clippers that I chose, which are the JRL clippers, which is why I got involved with them, are both designed to cut through bulk hair, and through wet hair, coarse hair. That's the way they were designed. So we have a 2-speed option on the clipper. You could slow the clipper down, cut through wet, dense hair. If the hair is super coarse, we have a additional speed that will bump the motor up and senses speed resistance. So that way we can get more out of the blade. So it's all about choosing the clipper that you want to use. But there's definitely some cool stuff out there that can get the job done. And I believe that we're one of the companies that are giving barbers exactly what they need.
I love what JRL's doing, man. And my favorite clipper, there are a lot of really good clippers on the market. You guys can go on my YouTube channel and see I've done clipper reviews. There are a lot of really good clippers, but the 2020C has been my favorite. And the Onyx now is the clipper that I use. I just love it. I think it's overall, all around the board, it's my favorite clipper. What's the process to your fast cuts? If you can, like, let's an example. Say you were going to do a skin fade right now, and there's some scissor work on top. How would you start that?
I would do skin, half, 1.5, break it down into 3 sections. Anything longer than a 2 or 3 up top, I'm going to use clipper over comb. So for example, if it's a comb over, it's going to be skin, half, 1.5. I set those 3. I set up my process there. I'm going to go to my clipper over comb, debulk into the 1.5, and now I'm going to work myself from the 1.5 all the way down throughout the haircut. And that's pretty much how I do every single haircut. If it's going to be something that's a 2 or 3 up top, let's say it's a 3 up top with a skin fade, it's skin, half, 1.5. I already did my 3 up top, so I'm going to use my 2 open and work myself from my 2 open all the way down.
Love it. You talked about 45 minutes, 60 minutes for a year, 1 to 3 barbers. What advice do you have for new barbers when they get to a shop and the client requests a cut that they've never done or have little experience with?
This is a great question, and it's something that I actively talk about to this day right now in my shop, because I do have 2 new people that I'm training in my shop. And that is that there is absolutely no shame in telling a client when they sit in your chair that you don't feel that you are the best barber to perform that service on them. If you perform the service on them and you cannot do the haircut effectively, then you're only going to aggravate the client, and that's going to lead to the shop getting a bad review. That's going to lead to an unhappy client. That's going to lead to maybe a confrontation in the shop, and you never want to do that. A client is always going to remember years down the road that rather than you botching their hair, you put them in the best position possible to get them what they needed at the time. And when you're ready, you can revisit cutting their hair at a later date when you're ready. But I'd never encourage you to take on a client just for $1. That leads to very, very bad business.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I mentioned this on one of the lives that I done recently too. Like, I think part of good customer service sometimes is just referring people elsewhere, right? Like even to another shop. Like I've had people hit me up for some of that crazy UK stuff. Bro, I don't do that. It's like you come in with some of that, Josh LaMonica Barber, Josh OP stuff. I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, could I attempt to do it? Sure. If I was earlier in my career, would I do more of it? Sure. But if you're trying to hit me up and get some of that crazy stuff, you show me the picture. I know a few barbers in my area who are nasty with that. And I got no issue saying, you know what, like I could attempt to do that, or I can do it, but it's not going to look as good as if you go to this barber who is actually like 10 minutes down the road. I promise you he would absolutely crush it. So, I know not everybody agrees with that, but I think that sometimes referring people, you obviously try to keep them in the shop, right? But I think even sometimes you just refer them to some other people. Like, flat tops I'm not good at either. I know the dude up the hill, he get busy with the flat top. One person a year asked me for a flat top. I'm like, bro, I don't know. I could do it, but it ain't gonna look like his up the street. You know what I mean? Let's see. How do you consistently post content without getting burnt out on social media? I'll take this one, Drew. I think this is a great question. And shameless plug, I do an interactive social media course, guys. As you see it scrolling across the bottom. If you go to itsmarvymarv.com, shout out to all my course family in here. Go to itsmarvymarv.com. You can check out my social media course. I recommend you at least checking that out. And if you are, anybody on here is serious about your content and social media strategy and stuff like that, and you want to learn all of that, sign up and come work with me. But the one thing I would say to answer this question is you want to figure out a process to simplify your content in a way where it allows you to be consistent. So, for example, when you guys see me doing these TikTok skits that are getting millions of views and so many views on TikTok, and I'm repurposing them on YouTube, and I'm sharing them on Facebook now, sharing them on Instagram now. For me to make one of those skits, it takes me about 5 minutes to record it, 5 minutes tops to edit it. So we're looking at about 10 minutes total, right? So when you're spending 10 minutes to create a piece of content, it makes it a lot easier for you to be consistent, right? Whereas if it's taking you 45 minutes, an hour, days to create a content piece, it could be a little more challenging to be consistent because, let's be honest, a lot of times you take all that time to create a content piece, you put it out, it doesn't do the numbers you want, you get discouraged. And it's like, all right, well, why am I wasting all of this time to create this content when I'm putting it out and ain't doing nothing for me anyway? Whereas if you were spending 5-10 minutes to create a content piece, 20 minutes you put it out, it doesn't perform as well. You're not as discouraged, right? So you want to figure out a way to simplify your content creation process. Another example of that is this Gem Talk right here. You know what I'm going to do with this Gem Talk? I'm going to take this Gem Talk and I'm going to chop it up into a whole bunch of stuff where it's Drew talking. There's a whole bunch of stuff, me talking. I'm going to repurpose it, meaning I'm going to reshare it as little short Instagram videos, little YouTube shorts, right? I'm going to repurpose it. So we're spending 2 hours to create this, but it's going to turn into probably 50 pieces of content. And who knows how many of them I'll post, but it'll probably turn into 50 pieces of content. So, that long-winded rant, I say that all of that to say, you want to figure out a way to simplify the way you create content, because if it's easy for you to do and you can create multiple pieces at once, you're going to be a lot more likely to be consistent.
Hey, Mark, I feel like we've been doing this was such a great Gym Talk. I feel like so many people on here got so much out of it. We got one guy on here, Wavy Cuts, who has been nothing but great, just trying to learn. This guy, Frog the God. Hey, Frog, if this is your page, I don't know if you can see that, but if this is your page online and this is you in the comments talking, I encourage you to just stop. just stop. Just if you don't want to be on here and learn anything, if we don't got nothing for you, that's cool. But if that is your page online, just stop, brother. Just leave the people alone. We're out. We're we're looking. We're here. We're doing. We're trying to influence and help people out. And you're in here creating a commotion. And if that is your page, just stop.
And what I would say is this, all right, guys, because this is what I'm gonna say, guys. What Frog the God is doing, it works for him, right? Because what it does is it gets him attention, right? We all are trying to figure out a way to get attention, to get our name out there, to get our voice heard. And his approach is working because, to be honest, he's gotten more airtime on this conversation than he probably should have.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to take an opportunity to drop some wisdom, because what I want you guys to understand is, while it is garnering him attention in this conversation, it's not good attention. You know what I mean? It's not the attention that you want to have. And you'll hear people say, you know, there's no such thing as good, bad publicity. And there's a degree of truth to that. But at the same time, guys, what is being done right now is never going to shine bright in somebody's life, never going to make somebody want to be like, yo, like, I got to bring Frog the God on Team JRL, or we're going to do a live with him and really hear his thoughts. Or,
and you know what the most disappointing
part
is, though, Mark?
Understand what type of attention you're getting. What up, Drew?
Here's the most disappointing part about that. This guy probably doesn't even care about that. He probably, you're probably saying right now, that's not going to get him the right kind of, you know, people looking at him to bring him onto a team. He probably does not even care about that, which leads to my point. Why are you on here? Yeah. Why are you on this gym talk right now? Like, why are you on here?
He getting his moment.
Here trolling other people, and people are in here commenting, and he's creating a disturbance on here. And he says he doesn't cut for views. Brother, you're making TikToks that got no views on them. Yeah, so you're making them for a purpose. You're not just making TikToks because you don't want to get views. The point is that the reason why you're not getting views is a whole other conversation. We're not going to talk about that.
I can help you with that too, Frog.
This is positive. You know, this is positive. So, you know, the point is that people like this is just, it really baffles me. We had this conversation earlier, and it's just, it honestly, it's the number one thing that upsets me in this industry today is that, you know, I don't understand what's the point of even being on here on a 2-hour podcast.
This right here, Drew. This is what he it worked for him. But he got his moment. He got the free promo. He can have it. Congrats. Yo, Frog, come join the course. Come join the course, and I'll help you redirect that energy. You know what I'm saying? Because you clearly are trying to figure out ways to get attention. You were effective today, not in a positive way. But I could work with you, bro. I could work with you and get your head from out of your backside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I agree. Tip your barber said, let's keep it on track. So there was another question that I wanted to ask you. Where was it? K. Coop says, besides free stuff, what are the pros of working for clipper companies, and what are some cons?
I mean, I think the pros are, you know, obviously getting involved with the other side of the industry, learning how it works. Learning how the clippers are manufactured and made, and what it takes to really put together a show. There's so much that goes into that side of it. I think the reward from being part of a clipper company is obviously what you get to share at a show. You get an opportunity to engage with so many different people, and you get to see years down the road, because I found that a lot of people that go to the shows are the same people that consistently show up to all the shows. So what happens is that you see somebody year one and you catch them early, and you see how you were able to impact them, you know, year 3 and 4 down the road at a different show. And I think that that's really rewarding, what you get to do and how you can affect change in somebody's life just by showing them what you were able to figure out during the course of your career. So just simply sharing the things that have taken us to different levels, and sharing those kind of tips and insights, gems, so to speak, with different people at shows is what I really feel the reward part of it is. Compensation is there, guys. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say that we're not getting compensated to be at these shows. I'm just saying the overall picture is that the money is not what brings us to these shows or makes us want to be a part of these clipper companies. I think it starts with being passionate about the tool that you're using, getting involved with the company, and learning the different side of the business. I think once you're able to learn another side of barbering, which would be the manufacturing side, that all helps integrate into, like, creating a product or having the resources to create something for yourself.
Mm.
So I think it all goes hand in hand.
Love that. So earlier, somebody said, I kind of thought about battling for exposure. What do you think about that?
I think battling for exposure is great. It's a great way to get your name out there, win or lose. You putting yourself out there and being vulnerable will allow somebody to connect with you and see what you can do. But I think there's no real losers. I mean, there's guys, some of your favorite barbers right now, and Mark, you can attest to this. Some of my favorite barbers have never even won a barber battle. Not
I'm
to
0-2 in my career. I know a lot of you guys think Marv's your favorite. I'm 0-2 in my career. I'm
Yeah,
winless.
not to say that they haven't competed. I'm just saying there's some of them that the battling scene wasn't for them, but they went on to be educators for companies based off of what people saw when they were there. And
I've judged more competitions than I competed in. Ain't
yeah,
that crazy? But yeah, I would say this because I've had my back and forth with battling, right? And there's multiple ways you could look at it. There's a lot of ways you could look at it where it is a complete waste of time and a complete waste of money. But I'd rather focus on the side where you can use that to your advantage. And what I mean when I say that is just competing in a barber battle in itself is a scary thing to do. And it takes courage to put yourself on stage in front of people like that. So when you do compete, there is that part of it where just competing in itself will help you build confidence, right? It'll
right.
help you build confidence. You'll get that nice adrenaline rush. It could be definitely fun. 99% of the time, you're going to feel like you got robbed, just like I did when I battled Drew. I felt like I got robbed, right? But then when I look back, Drew was the right winner. So let me say that, right? I don't feel like I got robbed anymore. But you'll feel like you got robbed. But you can also use it as an opportunity to put yourself in front of some people who, maybe Marv's judging the battle or Drew's judging the battle. I don't judge no more. So, back in the day I would, but maybe your favorite influencers are judging the battle. So now they're walking around looking at your cuts. You get an opportunity to speak to them, introduce yourself, let them feel your energy. You can use it as a opportunity, to network. You can use it as an opportunity to be memorable. Maybe you go on stage with some sort of mask or crazy outfit, or you do something crazy and you stand out to the crowd. And now you're starting to make a name for yourself that way. So, I would say if you are going to battle, try to figure out what could you possibly gain from it aside from just winning it. Because even when I battled Drew, right? Like, of course, I'm a competitor, so I'm trying to win. But all in all, I had a strategy. And my strategy was to market myself, help me get my name out there more, build my brand up, get on this Barber versus TV when I'm not even a battle barber, try to beat Drew, the 19-time champion, motivate people, inspire people. Like I had my intentions clear so that even if I didn't win, which I didn't, I can still leave from that and look at it and say, hey, was this a success? And it was for me overall. You were going to say something, Drew?
Yeah, I think too, though, it's also a very healthy way to kind of figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are by competing against your peers. I've always had a lot of fun battling, but most of all, it always pushed me. I always left there wanting to be better. I always left there and said, man, I saw something that the guy next to me was doing, during the battle, and I want to reach out to him or talk to him here at the show, and maybe he could share some insight with me on how I can, maybe do what I was doing better. So I always used it as a way to really kind of step the level of my skill up. Was battling was always a great time for me.
Yeah. And one thing you'll learn competing too is that you can cut quicker than you thought you could, guys. I can't tell you how many people, when I used to judge battles, and even now when I'm going to the competitions and people are asking for advice, they're scared because they're like, normally I take 45 minutes to do a cut, but this competition's only giving me 30 or only giving me 20. And then when all said and done, they're surprised that they were able to put out the quality that they did in that time. you know? So you get to see what you're made of a lot of times in those competitions. And, you know, a side point from that, you know, if I'm going to go all the way back to when you guys were asking for tips on how to get your time down, just challenge yourself. I always tell people this. This is my strategy. I always share with people now is just try to knock 2 minutes off your total haircut time a week. So if you're taking an hour, try to do 58 minutes next week. Try to do 56 minutes the following week. And before you know it, you'll have your time down, because a lot of times we are done with the haircut. Like Drew was saying earlier, we're done, but then we start nitpicking or just dragging it because we know, right? We know we booked this 45-minute slot. So 30 minutes in, we're done, but we don't know what to do. Rather than wrapping up the cut and enjoying the 15 minutes to sit down or maybe squeeze somebody in or grab a bite to eat, we drag the cut just to get to that 45-minute mark. Next thing you know, we're 48 minutes in, you know, then our next appointment rolls in and we sit them down and we just keep moving. And I can speak from experience because I've done that, bro. I'm sure you've done it too, where it's just like, I'm just dragging the cut because I can, you know? So if you want to cut faster and knock time off, just make it a goal. Look at that clock, be aware of it, and knock a few minutes off per week.
Absolutely.
So, Drew, man, we've been rocking for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I just want to say I appreciate the hell out of you. Barbers, let us know in the chat if this was another gem talk. Drop a bunch of gems in the chat. And what I want you to do, if you haven't done so already, if you're watching this on a TV, take a picture, or a computer, take a picture. If you're watching on your phone, take a screenshot. And afterwards, share this to your story. Tag me and Drew in it to let us know you got value. Feel free to share a takeaway, you know, what you learned, or let people know it was a bunch of gems or whatever you want to let them know. So that way we can show you some love. I love seeing the gems come in. Everybody said this is amazing. And me and Drew also want to thank you guys for taking the time to spend some time with us on a Monday morning. It says a lot about you, because you guys could be doing anything. You could be doing anything. And most barbers aren't tapped into this. As you see, there's 108 people on right now. Most barbers aren't tapped into this. But you guys are here. A lot of you guys were taking notes. A lot of you guys were engaging, asking questions. It was dope. And as you guys know, I'm going to leave this on the channel. So if you guys didn't get to see the whole thing, you can always go back and rewatch it. But so Drew, real quick, one last question. VIP Fade says, and I think that you could add a lot of value by answering this. Advice on working at a completely new shop straight out of barber school. What would your advice be? Because I know we're going to have a lot of those type of barbers that watch this.
Yeah, the best thing you could do is just find a mentor. The mentor doesn't always have to be the owner. You know, in many cases it is, because I find that, you know, leadership, if it has to start from the top and work itself down, but anybody in your shop could be a leader. Find somebody who is doing it and really dedicated to it, somebody who can help show you the way. You know, latch onto that person, ask questions. No question is a stupid question. And then also outside of the shop, you know, attend some of these conversations like you did today. Reach out to people, you know, myself, Marv. I know anybody that's on this chat, and I always encourage people at the shows, you know, send me a DM and let's talk about it. I try to get to as many people as I can. I'm sure Marv does too. But definitely just get out there and, you know, talk with the people in the industry and ask questions and, you know, let them motivate you. You know, we have a lot of really good people in this industry that are willing to help. And I think that there's just a lot of knowledge out there that can be shared with you just getting out of school. But I think that learning and doing it the right way from the jump is going to be your best bet.
I love that. So, guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you haven't already. And take a picture of this if you need to take a picture of it to remember. Make sure you follow DrewDaBarber on IG. And also, speaking of mentors and asking questions and stuff like that, make sure you check out my interactive social media course, guys. I teach a lot of social media and content strategy. But aside from that, the people who are in the course will tell you we discuss a whole bunch of different things. And you can find out more info at itsmarvymarv.com, or you just go on my Instagram and click the link in my bio, and it'll take you here. And then you could, you know, preview one of the videos and stuff like that. You see it comes with this whole curriculum, a whole bunch of stuff, and a private page that you get access to where you can ask questions. We now offer, you can make payments too. So if you can't pay it all at once, you can make payments, which is a cool feature that it now offers on my platform. So check that out. And if you do sign up because of this live right here, make sure you message me and say, hey, you know, I was tapped in live with you and Drew. I joined the course, and I'll make sure that I'll hook you up with something special for signing up because of this conversation. So Drew, any last words that you want to leave them with? What's a gem that you can leave them with before we wrap this up?
No matter where you're at in your career, know it's exactly where you need to be. Do all of the right things, stay consistent, and just keep your goals in mind. Anything can be accomplished within this industry. It's a beautiful industry. It's provided me with some of the best memories and current life situations that I could have ever asked for. I'd have never thought that I was off of cutting hair when I first started off on my journey. I'd have never thought that I would be where I'm at today. And it's all because of this industry. This is a very beautiful industry with a lot of great people in it, and a lot of people are willing to help you. And a lot of people have helped me. So I'm very grateful for everybody. And I just want to encourage everybody to just be great, put your best foot forward. And if there's anything that I can do to help anybody, hit me up, and I'll be glad to do what I can.
Yes, sir. And again, Drew, thank you, bro, for taking time out of your day when you didn't have to and coming on here and delivering just like I knew you would. I know the barbers got a lot of value from this. It was a great gem talk. I appreciate you. We're going to end the live, but I want you to hang out once I end it so I could chop it up with you for a couple minutes afterwards.
All right.
Barbers, thanks again for tapping in. We appreciate you. Until next time, keep chasing greatness and stay consistent. Keep giving it your all and keep doing what most barbers don't do if you want to be able to do what most barbers don't do. So until next time, keep pushing. Barbers! We got to end the live.